Call the council meeting to order. For tonight, we've got a quorum present, and tonight will be led in the invocation by Reverend Bryce Hecht, is a retired Winford United Church of Christ pastor, and after the invocation, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. So at this time, I would just ask everyone to rise.
Let us pray. Our God, the sovereign ruler and Lord of all, the creator and provider for all your people, you sustain us, you grant us wisdom. By the power of your Holy Spirit, move and work within each group here tonight, each individual. Guide the mayor, the city council, and the citizenry who have gathered here tonight to be expressing their concerns. We ask, O God, that your love focus upon each one of us and our love be shared one with another. In Christ Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We've got a proclamation for National Garden Week in Solana. Colander, we'd ask you to come up. And then do we have Dave and Jackie Haar here, and Laverne Wren's here, and then Margaret Straley, State President. If they are here, would they come on up? We want to welcome you here tonight. We have a proclamation that reads, whereas gardeners have the passion for discovering the beauty and resources of the earth through the planting of seeds and nurturing of plants and the harvesting of the riches of their efforts, whereas gardeners seek to add splendor, fragrance, and nutrition to our lives through the growing of herbs, vegetables, foliage, and flowers, whereas gardeners work to preserve our country's traditional spirit of independence and initiative through innovation and hard work, whereas gardeners advocate the importance of all creatures, large and small, that share our world and the roles in having a productive ecology, whereas gardening instills a greater respect and care for the environment and the natural resources that are so precious to the future of the well-being of the world, whereas gardening furnishes a challenging and productive activity for many citizens, from those just learning to others with years of experience, whereas gardening promotes a healthy lifestyle that lasts a lifetime, helps reduce stress from other areas of our life, and teaches that rewards can come from diligent efforts, whereas gardening enables members of the garden clubs across the nation and the world to serve others in the communities where they reside and work. Now, therefore, I, Dave Munson, Mayor of the City of Sioux Falls, do hereby proclaim June 3rd through June 9th, 2007, as National Garden Week in Sioux Falls, and congratulations and thank you for what you do. Okay, we'll start. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move. Knudsen.
Is there a second?
Second, Jamison.
Jamison seconded. Any further motions? No further motions. All in favor of approving the consent agenda?
I think we need there's an item we'd like to add, I think, to the consent agenda.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, it's the communication was received by Adam Schmidt and Lacey Dooley requesting permission to consume but not sell wine and malt beverage at the Knights of Columbus is for a wedding reception.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Kavanaugh.
Second, Kavanaugh. Go ahead. Everybody understand the motion? Okay, all in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted. That motion has been approved. Now we're back to the main motion as amended to approve the consent agenda. Further motions? Seeing no further motions, all in favor of approving the consent agenda as amended will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted. The consent agenda has been approved as amended 8-0. Now is there a motion to approve the regular agenda?
So moved.
Kavanaugh, is there a second?
Second, Brown.
Brown seconded. Further motions on the regular agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the regular agenda will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present have voted. The regular agenda has been approved 8-0. Now is the time that we set aside 5 minutes for anyone that wishes to address the council and any subject that they wish, and we just ask that they give their name and their address. And if you're here tonight and this is the first time, if you have an item that's going to be coming up on the agenda, we'd ask that you wait until that comes up on the agenda and then speak on it at that time. So anyone that wishes to address the council for a period of 5 minutes.
I'm Roger Augustman, 1508 Southdale Drive. I'm talking about the Drake Springs pool location. Those of us that ride bicycle like using Fairfax Avenue as a nice little shortcut to get to the bike trail. But I think if they put the pool in the street with a parking lot on each side, there'd be a sidewalk through that. You know, we might have to go to the store, but no big deal. While we're borrowing millions of dollars to put up ball fields other places, to scrap the Nelson Park ball field because the pool would overlap it a little, it probably cost more money than taking the street out. Taking the street out also might be less long-term expense, and if the soil is good enough to hold up the street, it probably can hold the pool up too. Some years ago, I went to some Rotary Club meeting in Michigan and seen a contractor who built, you know, he could put 10-foot waterfall in your backyard or whatever you wanted. He built a pool next to Lake Michigan, and the ordinance of the city and the state law, one says the pool has to be higher than the lake so that the lake don't pollute the pool, and the other one says the pool has to be lower than the lake so that the pool don't pollute the lake. So the contractor had a problem. So he built the pool on a slope and was very helpful with the inspectors and held the pool on one end, the pool on one inspector, and the other end of the pool, the other inspector, and forgot about pollution problems. But since this is near a river, maybe those in this business know better ideas, but if there are some drainage tiles underneath the pool before it's built, and you could check when the chlorine starts leaking out and bring the chlorine over to the city waterworks to save a couple pennies there. I think having a system to drain, pools leak sooner or later. Just an idea to look into. Maybe there's better ways to do it. So,
Thank you very much, Roger. Appreciate your time. Others that wish to address the council for 5 minutes?
Scott Erisman, 806 South 10th Avenue. I know this is on the plaque resolution is on the agenda for later on down at the end, and I have other commitments, so I wanted to talk about it now before that.
You know, and what I'd ask you is we do try to keep that on the schedule, if you would, Scott. Could you come back?
Well, it's about the plaque, but it's not about the plaque specifically. It's about something else, if that's okay.
Okay, some slacks there.
Okay. I wanted to start out by saying I'm not here to tell you how you should vote on the plaque resolution tonight. That's your decision to make, and I hope you make the right one. I'm here to address a bigger issue this plaque resolution has brought to light, the financing and selection of public art in Sioux Falls. I want to start out by saying that private funding of public art projects corrupts our political system, not just in Sioux Falls, but the rest of our nation. I have a great interest in public art. I am a supporter, especially when the public benefits from its awareness and education. Notice I used the word public. That is, who is supposed to benefit from public art. Private industry, people with deep pockets, and supporters of political candidates should not be the focus of public art. I have closely watched public art programs in our city over the last few years, including the Visual Arts Commission and Sculpture Walk. In fact, I have applied to be on the VAC twice. The first time application got misplaced, and the second time it was confirmed by a letter that it was received. There have been 2 vacancies that have existed for over a year now, and as far as I know, my application is still sitting at City Hall, and I'm still willing to serve. I have seen some pretty major issues with the way public art is approved in our city, but there are some very simple solutions. First, eliminate conflicts of interest. This is referring to the Visual Arts Commission. One member had already voluntarily resigned in the past due to conflict of interest, but only after it was pointed out by a citizen. Do other members of the VAC have conflicts of interest? For instance, the chair, who is an owner or co-owner of a private gallery and foundry. Wouldn't some of his VAC decisions benefit his business? And vice chair, who is employed by an architecture firm that frequently works on city projects, does some of her decisions benefit her employer? These are important questions to ask. It seems these conflicts only ensure certain artists' art gets displayed in our community. Eliminate these conflicts and you will have a fair advisory board. Secondly, eliminate the powers of the Parks and Rec to approve any art, plaque, or memorial on their own. I think if you eliminate any jurisdiction they may have over public art, you will be guaranteed that no more public art will slip through the cracks of the approval process. The VAC was purposely designed to be an advisory group to the city. Let them do their job, not the Parks and Rec or any other city department. And lastly, eliminate private funding of public art or tighten the restrictions on private donations. Public art should be publicly funded to ensure accountability and transparency. I know that private money helps. The Washington Pavilion and Sculpture Walk both benefit from private funds. I think they can still accept private funds, but there should be tight restrictions on the donating party, such as maximum donation limits and what kickback the donating party receives. Just because someone donates money to create a sculpture that we put on public property, like the Law Enforcement Center or the county courthouse, for instance, doesn't mean the public should be left out of the process of approval or that there shouldn't be an open call for the art. Let's take the downtown library sculpture, for example. Was that approved by the VAC? Is it on loan? Was it purchased? Who owns it? The city? Private funds? How was the piece selected? It seems the donating parties are the ones choosing the art, not the public, as in the case of the plaque that we were voting on tonight and the pieces I mentioned above. I want to finish by saying you all have the power to make one or all of these changes. I hope that you will closely look at instituting some of these changes for the betterment of our community and for the sake of public art in Sioux Falls. I agree that Sioux Falls has the infrastructure and the potential to become an arts-aware community, but only if we include the community in that process.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Others who wish to address council for a period of 5 minutes? Anyone else? I see no one coming forward, so we will move into the regular agenda at this time. Item number 12.
Conditional use permit appeal, 2007-0302, East 41st Street and South Sycamore Avenue. The conditional use permit was to construct a Goodwill store. The Planning Commission recommends continuing the conditional use permit with the following stipulations. 1, the loading dock, truck parking, and trash area shall be enclosed with a 6-foot-high split-faced masonry block wall. 2, screen fencing is to be a minimum 4 feet high solid screen fence of split-face masonry block, composite vinyl or wood materials, and located along the edge of the pavement north of the BMP. Number 3, provide public sidewalk along East 41st Street and develop a safe pedestrian connection from the front of the building to the public sidewalk. 4, provide 2 rows of 5 feet high evergreen trees with staggered spacing, 15 feet on center. Number 5, freestanding business signage shall be a monument style with a height no greater than the width.
Before you start, Mike, can I just lay out a few of the ground rules, what we're going to ask for tonight? If we could, we'd ask everybody, proponents and opponents of this item number 12, that we limit each side to 20 minutes. And so you can kind of determine who's going to talk. And then the other thing we'd ask, and I know you'll do it, and I just want to bring it up because I know you'll do it, but we just ask that we have the decorum, that we don't have any clapping, and sometimes that's happened in the past. I know it won't happen tonight, but I just want to bring it up and respect each other that speaks, and so we can do that. We'll present each side fairly and representatively. So are you going to kick it off for the proponents and Mike? Okay. 20 minutes for whatever you're going to be having your speakers be.
Thank you. I'm Mike Cooper, representing Planning and Building Services tonight. The conditional use permit process is a special type of use that's allowed within our zoning ordinance, subject to public hearing by the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission can recommend approval with stipulations, or they can deny a conditional use permit. And our process also now provides that a conditional use permit can be appealed to the City Council by anyone, a proponent or opponent of that. And so tonight we have an appeal that has been requested by neighbors in regards to a proposed Goodwill retail store on East 41st Street. This is property that is on the eastern one-third of a C4 commercial area. To the east is existing multifamily, and to the south is existing twin homes. The Planning Commission last month, after consideration of the staff report, of the neighborhood testimony, did make a recommendation for approval with the 5 stipulations that are identified in the agenda tonight. And as I said, that has been appealed now by some of the neighbors. And I think in the interest of time, rather than myself going through all the issues, we do have representatives tonight of both sides. And Goodwill Industries have representatives that would like to talk to you about how they've gone through the design process, why they've decided to locate at this particular area. And then I think there's either 2 or 3 neighborhood spokespersons. We've asked them not to repeat the same thing, so hopefully that'll happen, and let them know what their concerns are with the Planning Commission vote. So let's start with the Goodwill proponents.
Dale Jans, 300 North Phillips Avenue. We're the general contractor for this project, and so we have spent a considerable amount of time working with planning staff and some meetings with neighbors to accommodate the design. From what you've been able to see, probably there's been some major modifications to the design of the building to create something that would be, a fairly aesthetically pleasing property. And then in addition to that, we've made substantial changes to the site plan to increase the screening, to do additional landscaping, and the stipulations that were put forth by the planning staff and agreed to with the Planning Commission are certainly agreeable to us. And so I guess if you have any questions, we'd be glad to try and answer those. I have some people from Goodwill Industries here that can certainly talk about the operations side if you want to hear any of that too.
Why don't we just wait and then let's ask questions if you can at the end of the presentation, so that'll kind of expedite the time factor for everybody that wants to speak, if we could do that. Okay. Just write it down if we would. Okay, further proponents?
I'm John Hantla, president of Goodwill Industries. We made the decision that would be a good location for a Goodwill retail store. The majority of the funding that comes to support our programs is based upon our retail programs, and our stores do well when they're located in middle-class neighborhoods. That's been our donor base all the years, and that was the decision that caused us to go into that, seek to go into that neighborhood. The majority of our training and industrial things that occur at Goodwill are on 41st and South Norton. What we're considering here is strictly a retail store.
Okay, thank you. Others that wish to come forward for support? Are you a opponent? Opponent, okay. We'll just go through the proponents, the people supporting the project right now. Others that wish to? It'll take as long as. Does anybody, any questions of the council to anyone that was the presenter? Not, I guess he's got some time. So the opponents come forward.
My name is Ryan Waters, and I reside at 3413 South Goldenrod Lane, which is directly south of and adjoined to the proposed construction. On behalf of myself and many of my neighbors, I would like to thank you for providing this forum and for your time this evening. I'd like to start with a statement taken from a Goodwill publication. Goodwill is a provider, quote, of education, training, and career services for people with disadvantages such as welfare dependency, homelessness, and lack of education or work experience, as well as those with physical, mental, and emotional disabilities. Goodwill Industries leads the way in creating employment opportunities for ex-offenders returning to the workforce. Speaking to their demographic, Goodwill says, more than 8 out of 10 people who come to Goodwill for help are low income or welfare dependent, including those with a criminal record. Those are taken from Goodwill Publications. Goodwill Industries International contributes significantly to our community with their positive services and outreach programs. However, the proposed construction at East 41st Street and South Sycamore Avenue is not a good neighborhood fit. Specifically, what we're objecting to is not goodwill in any way, in any manner. It's just the location of the store, the new location, that is. In the state of South Dakota, there are a total of 6 Goodwill stores, with 3 located here in Sioux Falls. A commonality across all Goodwill stores in South Dakota is they are all in large commercial areas. I have satellite maps to prove that. This makes sense from a business standpoint and a resident standpoint. My neighbors and I live in a predominantly residential area, and to further these points, I would like to show 5 maps. I have maps of all the South Dakota Goodwill store locations, but I'll only be showing the 3 Goodwill store locations here in Sioux Falls. The first location is 120 North Kiwanis Avenue in Sioux Falls. And you'll notice that this is certainly a predominantly commercial area. And we can quickly go to the second and third maps. Yes. This is the East 10th location. This is the Goodwill store that is being moved by the owner of the land. Currently, I understand that the Goodwill store leases that land and has lost their lease and is being relocated to other land that Chance Corporation owns. And I guess at this time we don't know what the plans are for that current East 10th location. The third map is 3400 South Norton Avenue. And again, this is a very commercial area, not a middle-class neighborhood, which was stated before, near the corner of 41st and Minnesota Avenue. The fourth map of the 5, this is all of these maps are at the same scale and show the same amount of land. What we have here is the corner of East 41st Street and South Sycamore Avenue. And this map, unfortunately, is about 3 years old, but we get an indication of how residential this area really is and how much of a change it is from the existing Goodwill stores, not only in Sioux Falls, but in the rest of the state. The final map is one that demonstrates the greater area. Again, the center is East 41st Street and South Sycamore Avenue, This map, the circle is 3/4 of a mile in, it has a 3/4 mile radius, so it's 1.5 miles in diameter. Some informal math has shown that 95% of this area is either residential homes or adjacent parks. So it would seem to me that it's incongruent with the other Goodwill store locations. A warehouse-like steel-sided building does not belong in an area where other nearby buildings are either homes or brick and or stucco, smaller commercial buildings. In addition, a Goodwill store, by nature of its retail business, is at risk of generating clutter and fallout in neighboring yards by way of uncontrolled drop-offs, as is evident by the debris many of my neighbors have observed at the other store locations. The existing commercial construction at the East 41st and South Sycamore location includes banks, a small office building, and a gas station. They include the surrounding homeowners in their primary customer demographic. Goodwill Industries' primary demographic does not live nearby, nor is there a bus route to that location. Though there are many people in the area who might donate to a Goodwill store, ease of getting to one is of no more concern than driving to a Walmart or Shopko, which is to say, for those that are donating, close proximity of the store is not a concern. In conclusion, we have a number of Sioux Falls residents that would like to see the Goodwill store constructed at a different location and a more appropriate location. We recommend to the City Council to disapprove the conditional use permit to construct a Goodwill store near the East 41st and South Sycamore.
Thank you very much. Others that wish to address the council?
My name is Darrell Bogenreef. I reside at 3411 South Goldenrod Lane, which is directly south of the proposed development. I'm going to quote a couple of things from the Planning Commission. At their April meeting, one of their recommendations was to locate the truck loading dock away from the residential neighbors. This has not happened. Mr. Jans addressed the commission, and in doing so, he stated that they are proposing a metal building with a stucco exterior. He also stated that this facility will be manned 24 hours, 7 days a week. At the May meeting, the staff comments and recommendations said, expand the dock to also enclose the trucks. This has not totally been done either. Building wall materials should be the same on all four sides. The recommendation, or at the last Planning Commission meeting, said 2 sides. Now the permit, as was stated earlier, allows a 2-bay semi-truck loading dock adjacent to residential property with a 6-foot block wall, as outlined in stipulation 1. The 6-foot wall would cover very little of a 13.5-foot semi-trailer setting on an angle. The permit also provided a 4-foot berm with 2 rows of 5-foot-high evergreens, offset, spaced 15 feet on center, stipulation number 4. On April 17th, at the Oakview Library, Mr. Jans and Mr. Hantla met with 60 or more homeowners from the area. At this meeting, Mr. Jans proposed and committed to 2 rows of 10-foot evergreens, offset on a 4-foot berm, and so forth. And on all sides would be stucco over steel and would be manned 24 hours. Now, I have some pictures that I'd like to show you that were taken last evening. This here is at the present location at 10th and Cleveland, or 10th Avenue. We were having dinner across the street at the Frying Pan. The building closed at 5. 17 vehicles from 5 o'clock to 6:30 dropped off this merchandise. They filled the building, and then they started piling it up. That's in an hour and a half. Now, we went back this morning and took another picture. And now this is what it looks like. And is a major concern to us. The other one, again, is the one on South Norton. The same thing. This picture was taken about 7:30 this past evening. Now, we have no ill feelings against this retail store, but we certainly don't believe it belongs to this type and style, and as large a building as it is, over 15,000 square feet, belongs in this highly residential area. Again, backing up what Ryan said, we recommend that the City Council disapprove the Planning Commission's approval for this conditional use permit for this location. However, if you feel, according to the ordinances that are in place, that you would consider our concerns, that a 10-foot wall be built wide the trailers, the 10-foot trees be planted, that it be manned 24 hours a day, and all 4 sides be stucco. I have nothing further unless you have some questions.
Thank you. When we finish, Darrell, we'll come back to questions. Thank you very much. Others that wish to address the council? If not, are there questions of either of the opponents first? Council have any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to speak with, just ask a question of someone from Goodwill, please. I realize that area is very much zone commercial, C4. I realize that, and I realize that a retail store legally, technically fits a commercial zoning situation. But my question is, what at this new facility, what are you, if approved, what are you planning to do as far as just having piles of donations out by the side of the building all hours of the day and night?
I'll be glad to speak to that. What we saw, that's not our normal situation. And it's not in our interest to have that stuff piled up. And we're planning on having staff that will be there to be able to process all those donations and accept those. We don't want those out either. So we'll be able to handle that. We're not concerned about that.
Just a follow-up question, please.
Yes.
And so you mean there would be adequate staff
Yes,
24
we'll have-
hours a day to take in those donated items of people who do not need those items any longer?
Absolutely. And we also want to have staff on hand to be able to give out donation receipts for donations that are dropped off. So, yes, we want to be able to provide that service and have that stuff and be able to process it. We don't want to have it piling up outside. It's not in our interest. It's not in the interest of the donors. It's not in the interest of the neighborhood. And I can assure you that does not occur. That's not the norm for us.
And I guess because these pictures, however, were taken right in our city so recently. I mean,
Those are pretty, those are pretty good donations for us on a Sunday evening. I'm surprised to see that.
Further questions, Pat?
Sir,
Yes.
do you staff your existing stores 24 hours?
Some we do, some we don't. It just depends on the amount of traffic or activity that
These
we have.
locations, are they staffed? The pictures we're at?
No, not 24 hours. We will at this one, though.
Further questions? Sure.
My other question would be, the stores that I'm familiar with, you acknowledge that you're present with donations by ringing a bell or whatever, and staff comes and helps you unload. Is that the same circumstances you're going to have at this facility?
Yes, that's correct. When they'll drive it through the side there where the donations are taken, there'll be an air bell. The tenant will come out, take those donations, receive them, load them out of their car, give them their receipt, and they can head out.
And in the, excuse me, the other facilities where the pictures were shown, do you have that accessibility to the bell and 24-hour service? Or I didn't hear your answer to Pat.
Yes, we do. Why that was there last night, that's an unusual circumstance. That's not the norm for us. Like I say, we don't want that stuff piling out. We don't want it becoming subject to getting wet. And we want to be able to also provide that donor with a donation receipt. So, yes, it's our intention to make sure that there's someone there to service and accept those donations at that store.
Yes, I'm still intrigued with why you decided to have this location at 41st and Sycamore. Can you explain a little bit more why you wanted
There
to do
are
that?
about 3,500 Goodwill Industries stores around the United States. The trend for the last several years has been for the Goodwill stores to be where donations are given to us. And there has been a trend for Goodwills to upgrade, to be in middle-class neighborhoods, and that's what we've been doing. Our stores are nothing to be ashamed of. We're in the process of upgrading our stores here in Sioux Falls. That's why we sought this location. And I would say we have nothing to apologize for that, and we certainly have every legitimate right to be in that neighborhood, as would any person or any business that's zoned for that.
Could you say something about the accessibility of this proposed store for your normal clientele?
Well, I'm not quite sure what you're meaning. As far as accessibility,
Yeah,
are you talking
able
about
to
physical
get-
accommodations for persons with disabilities or for people that are going to be working there?
Well, people that, I think some of the literature mentioned about lower middle income people
Right.
patronizing Goodwill stores, and
Well, that's,
do you have any qualms about making it easily accessible for those people to come to your store, as far as good location? I guess that's what I'm saying.
Generally, what we are a destination store. Our customers will get out to where our stores are. I know there's been some concern. I heard some comments about old Goodwill stores, persons that have that are ex-offenders. Well, I can assure the community that population is throughout the entire community, including many of the people that represent businesses here today. Our mission is working with people who have barriers to employment, and we do that funded through our stores. That mission occurs primarily on 41st and South Norton, where we have a contract department. We work with women who are TANF recipients on welfare, helping them to become independent. We're doing job placement, getting people placed out in the community, getting them off public assistance. But that's funded through our stores. And that's one of the greatest things about Goodwill, is that we're not all strictly publicly funded. This is a trend that's going on across the country for Goodwills to be in middle-class neighborhoods. And I feel that we have nothing to apologize for wanting to be in that neighborhood.
I have a question for Dale. Dale, part of what I believe they were looking for, the 10-foot walls, the 10-foot trees, the siding, stucco siding all around. Now, my pictures here, it appears that all four sides are the same. Are they not?
That is correct, yeah. The original plan was to use a pre-engineered steel building. That was changed after the neighborhood meeting, and the proposal is to use a conventional construction material that would be EFS-type system all the way around the building.
Okay, so that shouldn't be an issue. Then, regarding the 10-foot wall, I'm not sure where that's at. Is that the loading dock, presumably?
Yeah, what was the requirement from the Planning Commission was to go with a 6-foot-high masonry fence along the length of where the trucks would be, and we've agreed to do that. And then for the rest of the parking lot, there would be a 4-foot-high screen fence.
Because it seems to me that a couple feet higher in a wall and a couple feet higher in trees might alleviate a lot of pain here.
Well, it would appear that way, but changing from a 6-foot wall to a 10-foot cantilevered wall is a substantial difference in the structural integrity of that wall. Substantial cost more to do that.
Thank you.
Further questions, Bob?
Dale,
Jameson?
Dale, as long as you're there. It appears that there's a berm, I assume this is on the south side of the building. The loading dock is on the south side of the building. And the trees are placed on the berm on the south side of the building?
Correct.
And the berm is how high?
We were talking about a 4-foot-high berm in some of our conversations with the
Plus
neighbors.
a 5-foot tree,
5-foot
I think
tree
is
and
what
5
it's
foot.
showing here.
Right.
So you got 9 feet. What's the average height of a trailer?
I suppose you would probably think about 13 feet would be the maximum.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions of anyone that has spoken tonight? Kevin?
I have a question for planning staff. What brought us to, since it is zone commercial, I assume that the applicant could have built there. Why did we have to have a conditional use review?
Our zoning ordinance provides that in the C4 commercial district, any building over 15,000 square feet must go through the public hearing process. The proposed size of this building is 15,574 feet. That was the reason it's...
So because it's 500 square feet too
Over.
big, we're going in through a
Well,
conditional use review.
I wouldn't say too big, but it's
Bigger
500
than
feet
the-
over the
Bigger than the
15,000 foot threshold.
permitted use, yes.
Right.
So in essence, they could amend their building size 600 feet, reduce it by 600 feet, and we wouldn't be here.
It would not have required a public hearing.
Further questions from the council, Dee?
Mike, I was thinking there was also another issue, the reason that they needed to come before us, having to do with the size of the parcel of land. Something about
Yeah, over 1 acre.
Yeah.
But that has to do with the size of the building as well. There is a, as you see on the map, this is about 1/3 of the area that's planned for future commercial. It's my understanding that there's future plans to add about another 20,000 square feet of retail to the west of this site as you go towards Sycamore. So this will not be the only commercial development within, or would not be, if approved, within the neighborhood area. And then there's also a gas station under construction in the northwest corner. So the 41st and Sycamore intersection has been designated as a commercial corner for some time.
Mike, another question, again, as I said earlier in my comments, is that I do believe legally and technically that location is zoned commercial and that Goodwill retail is commercial. I just think that's a given. But would you please remind me, is with conditional use permits like this, would the city council be able to put a stipulation on this as far as inspect, 6 months or maybe 6 months from now, maybe 6 more months from now, if in fact there are problems with stacks of items just donated, just dropped off, by the building or in the lot or whatever, that we need to look at this again?
The city council has the authority to modify, add, subtract any of the stipulations that the planning commission voted on.
Council members have further questions of anyone that was a presenter tonight?
Mike, another question regarding if there is items outside of this, there are other avenues, correct, that citizens can call to have those cleaned up?
Right.
Nuisance complaints?
Yes, we can deal with it that way too. And of course, we all hope that would not have to be the case in any retail commercial development, but that's always an avenue that's available for any outside complaint.
Further questions of anybody, council members have? Not, we'll close it to council discussion or council action on item number 12.
I move for approval of item number 12, but I would like to add the stipulation that I would like a 6-month and a 12-month review of
Dee,
this
could we just
situation.
get a motion to,
Okay.
just then come back? Is it,
All right.
you made a motion to approve it? Is there
Yes.
a second?
Second, Jameson.
James, second. Okay, then now, Dee, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, Mayor.
You got an
I would
exception?
like to add number 6, a stipulation that I would like this conditional use reviewed by this city council 6 months from now, and again 12 months from now, for period, end of sentence.
Okay, you want to review 6 and 12-month period? Dee, that's your substitute motion? Is there a second to that?
Yeah, excuse me, Mayor, when will, I should have said, I'm sorry, I should have said 6 months from when it opens and 12 months from when it opens. I mean, I know it's not even built yet, finished yet.
Okay, wait a second. So that, your motion has been when it's open for business. Then
Yeah, 6 months and 12 months.
Okay, everybody understands that motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion seconded. Newsom made and Brown seconded. Everybody understands that motion when the store is open, that they will have a 6 to 12 months?
Question. So, Mike, how do we review a conditional use permit? Would you revoke it and then they can't be in business, or what? How does that work?
What we do is when we are asked to have a review process in place, at the 6-month timeline, the staff will go out and inspect the property and look at all the stipulations that were in the action. And then we'll basically put a report together whether or not they're in compliance with all of those stipulations and bring that back to the reviewing body, whether it's the council or the planning commission.
Okay, so if it's not in compliance, what are our options at that time?
Then your options are to, you could revoke the conditional use permit in the worst case scenario, or you could ask for another review. So
if we revoke their conditional use permit, the building's built, they're in business, what, they have to close?
yes, I mean, that's in a worst case situation with any conditional use permit. If they don't comply with the stipulations, we always have the authority to bring that back to the council.
Further
But
questions?
I think the main purpose of the review is to say, are you in compliance with all the stipulations? Are there still some that you have not done yet? That's typically what we see in the review process.
Yes, I guess I have a question, my colleague, Dee Knutson.
Do you question?
I have a question, Dee.
Councilmember
The question I have, Dee, is, in regard to these stipulations, are there any of these stipulations that you believe they will not fulfill?
No.
So,
Kevin?
Mike, you indicated that the planning staff review would focus on the stipulations.
Yes.
Anything else besides the stipulations?
If we've received complaints,
Okay.
then we would have that information available.
Because many of the comments being made here tonight have nothing to do with these stipulations.
And it would also, as I remember now, it would also provide you to ask the applicant why the stipulations have not been complied with, or why their operation is generating neighborhood complaints if it is. It would be a chance for them to address those questions to the council.
I have a question for somebody from Goodwill. Would you be opposed to a stipulation that no donated items would be allowed to accumulate in front of the building for more than a half hour at a time, or some reasonable amount of time?
For a reasonable amount of time, absolutely.
What would you consider reasonable?
A couple of hours.
Okay. In the building, it's going to be manned 24 hours.
24 hours. I'd go with an hour. I mean, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of donations out there.
Okay. I have another amendment, Mayor.
Okay, you got another substitute, you got a substitute amendment?
Well, not a substitute, I just,
It'd be to substitute the amendment, then we'll come back to her amendment, then we'll come back to the main amendment to come out. You've got a motion to amend, further amend.
okay.
Okay, go ahead.
To add the stipulation that accumulated items would not be outdoors for more than an hour.
1 hour. Is there a second to that motion?
Second, Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh seconded. Okay, that motion has been made. Further comments? Go ahead, Bob.
Is that reasonable? The reason I ask that is our garbage cans sit out longer than that. Is an hour reasonable for a business to comply with something? All you've got is a doorbell that someone's going to ring to say there's a donation here, and if the person doesn't ring the doorbell, they don't know it's out there. I think an hour is an unfair stipulation, and I will not be supporting the amendment.
Further comments on that motion to amend? I see no further comments, so all in favor of the motion to amend the 1 hour after closing, we'll vote.
No. It's 1 hour after the drop.
A drop off, excuse me, I'm sorry. So you got that, Jamie. Okay, everybody in favor of that? Go ahead.
I guess I do have a question. How are we going to start figuring this hour?
Well-
We're going to have time clock that people punch
I think
in? Or?
I think it's a reasonable. The gentleman indicated he thought it was a reasonable time period. I imagine that there probably will not be people out there with the time clock, and I trust that as the building is manned 24 hours, that they will, in a timely fashion, be able to bring the donated items inside. In fact, I would imagine that most of the times the items would be carried directly inside, considering it's manned 24 hours. And your garbage. Your garbage gets taken out, I presume, once a week, most people, and is in a container, and generally speaking. And I'm just going off the 1 hour that he thought was reasonable. So,
Did he want it?
Okay, further comments on that motion, Joe?
And I understand where everybody's going with this, but I also have to remind the council and the audience that we have a code enforcement officer who has responsibilities to respond to customer complaints or issues that ordinances are enforced in the city of Sioux Falls. And we have that person on board for these kinds of reasons. I don't see frankly, any common sense to the fact that we can't keep track of when an hour starts and when an hour ends, because I have a garbage man who sometimes shows up early in the morning and sometimes doesn't get there till late in the afternoon. And I occasionally miss him, and it sits out there for a week. And then I do get contacted by the code enforcement officer. So I think it's reasonable with the people that we have on staff to be able to address these issues without creating another whole issue of bureaucracy in a process that does not have to be that difficult.
We got it closed here, excuse me, so to the motion to amend that's been made and seconded for the 1 hour. Further comments on that? Do you have any questions of him or anything like that? You can ask that at this time. You want to ask a
I'd
question?
like to hear what he's got to say.
Okay, you can do you can do that.
We have no trouble with the enforcement officer or any of the neighbor here is calling anytime. We'll be there. We want that stuff picked up. So that's fine. Not a problem.
Thank you. Okay, further comments on the motion to amend? There being none, all in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
No.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz? Staggers?
No.
Benninga?
No.
Brown?
No.
What did let's do?
Did you vote?
Litz?
No. So there's a no, so we've got five no's and 3 yeses. So that motion failed. Now we're back to the motion that would ask for a review in 6 and 12 months after the building has been built.
A question, Mike. I think review is automatic on any conditional use permit for compliance. Is that not true?
The staff has a policy that after 1 year, we go out and review the status of a conditional use permit, and then we present that to the Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions on that motion to amend the 6 and 12. See no further discussion. All in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
No.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
No.
Staggers?
No.
Benega?
No.
Brown?
No.
That motion failed 5-3, so we're back to the main motion to approve without any amendments. Any further discussion on that?
So just to be clear, that a yes vote allows the conditional use permit and allows their construction.
Yes. So that's where we're at. We've got a motion to approve the conditional use permit for the property at 41st and Sycamore, and that's what we're most, yes is to approve, no is not to. So further comments? All in favor of the motion to approve will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 12 has been approved 8-0. Item 13. Item 13.
New 2007-08 retail malt beverage license for J&L Harley-Davidson, Inc., J&L Harley-Davidson, to be operated at 2601 West 60th Street North, effective 7/1/07, with the conditional use permit being approved on 5/2/07. Applicant requesting withdrawal will resubmit under a different corporate name.
So it'll be noted that item 13 will be withdrawn.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I have a question on item 13. The conditional use permit was approved on 5/2/07. Did that come before the City Council?
No, just the Planning Commission.
Planning Commission. My question has to do with the nature of this business. It's a motorcycle shop. Why are they applying for a beer license?
Correct. Lori Bossman, City Finance Office. They are applying for a beer license for special events only. They have a number of events at their location that they currently apply for a special one-day malt beverage license for these various events. And so that will just save them from having to apply over and over for the one-day events. And they'll come back before you July 2nd because they're going to reapply under a different corporate name. But it is just for special events only.
I can certainly appreciate that, but I guess the reason why they come to the council for special events is so the council can make a determination on whether a business that does not have a regular beer license should have it for that particular event. If that malt beverage license is approved, there will they will determine what special events they will have and whether or not they will serve alcohol at those events. Is that correct?
That's correct. And in defense of J&L, I talked to Jim Entman today and told him he did not need to be here tonight because we were withdrawing. So he will be here on July 2nd to answer those questions.
Thank you.
And it may be that also that this request has been here because they now have built kind of like a concert area, and so I know that they are holding outdoor events up by their dealership, and I don't know for sure if all the concerts know
Right,
that.
that's correct. And I'll make sure, Jim will definitely be here July 2nd. Again, he called me today, and I didn't think there was a reason for him to be here tonight.
Be noted that item 13 will be withdrawn. Item 14.
New 2007-08 retail malt beverage license for River Plaza Event Center, Inc., Ivy Room, to be operated at 2425 South Shirley Avenue, number 118, effective 7/1/07, with the conditional use permit being approved on 5/2/07, pending final inspection per fire and final inspection of permit number 118283 per building services.
Were you going to go through the whole list, and then I can comment?
Number 15, new 2007 retail wine license for River Plaza Event Center, Inc., Ivy Room, to be operated at 2425 South Shirley Avenue, number 118, with the conditional use permit being approved on 5/2/07, pending final inspection for fire and final inspection of permit number 118283 per building services. Number 16 is new 2007-08 packaged malt beverage license for Olson Oil Company, Get and Go number 20, to be operated at 2421 South Minnesota Avenue, effective 7/1/07, pending final inspection for fire. Number 17, special one-day liquor license request for Great Bear Recreation Park, Inc., Great Bear Recreation Park, 5901 East Rice Street, for the following dates: events, class reunions on July 14th, 21st, and 28th, 2007, pending corrections per fire. Number 18, various retail malt beverage and packaged malt beverage license renewals for 2007-08 to be operated at various locations in the city of Sioux Falls.
Okay, Lori Bossman, City Finance Office. Back to items 14 and 15. The fire department has done their final inspections, so on those, on the Ivy Room, we're just waiting for building services, so just that quick change. And then item 18 will be Exhibit B renewals, which is the largest list. And under the retail malt beverage, I have a few pending items. One will be for Great Bear Recreation Park, Inc., for Great Bear Recreation Park, 5901 East Rice Street, and that will be pending corrections per fire. Also, Ozrock Motel, Inc., for Ramada Limited, 407 South Lyons Avenue, pending corrections per fire. Royal Palace, Inc., for the Royal Palace at 3801 West 34th Street, Suite 119, again, pending corrections per fire. And then we have one for Mike Walls, and the name is yet to be determined, 4601 East 41st Street. And this one will be pending final inspections per fire, still under construction. I don't even know if it's been started, but that one will be pending final inspections. And then a couple more to point out. On the retail malt beverage list, we have a renewal for Mulugeta and Marta and Ahayu for the Lala Bella restaurant at 1001 West 11th Street. The Lala Bella restaurant came before you last February through the Planning Commission with their conditional use permit because of concerns in the neighborhood. And from what I understand, that will come again before you on July 11th. But Officer Greg Schmidt is here from the police department just to give you an update on calls that have occurred at Lala Bella since February. So if you'd like, he could present that information to you now.
Lori, is this related to 18?
Is it, I'm sorry, related to what?
Is this item 18?
Yes, this is all part of 18.
Can we, go ahead, Dee, do you want to?
18.
Do you want to take those
we
other
only want
items first?
I'd like to separate 14 and through 17, and then separate it from 18,
Okay.
so that another counselor can excuse himself.
Sure.
Okay, let's just take items 14 through 17. Are there any questions of items 14 through 17 by any council member? Anyone in the audience wish to address the council on any item from 14 through 17? Not. Is there council discussion or action on items 14 through 17?
I move for approval of items 14 through 17, please.
Newsom moves. Is there a second?
Second, Benninga.
Benninga seconded. Further comments on that motion? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion to approve items 14 through 17 will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knudsen?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 14 through 17 has been approved, 8-0. Now we're at 18.
Mr. Mayor, excuse myself.
Be noted that Councilmember Costello will be excused from item 18. Further questions or comments?
Okay, and then 18, we reviewed the stipulations, and if you would like Officer Greg Schmidt to give a report on Lala Bella, he's prepared to do that at this time.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to hear Officer Schmidt, please.
We'll ask him to come forward.
Good evening, Officer Greg Schmidt, Community Services Division, Sioux Falls Police Department. Lori called and asked me to do a call history on the address since February, since all the concerns that were brought up. And what I can say is we had basically nothing. Nothing really to do with the facility itself or the patrons of the facility. There was an accident. There was a parking violation, just things like that. So it has gone very well since February.
Questions are great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Shauna just corrected me that the Lala Bella restaurant will come before the Planning Commission on July 11th. So back to the Planning Commission. And the other one that I may have someone here to speak to is Arts Auto Care. This is at 812 East 10th Street, and I'd received a citizen call on Arts Auto Care. And is there anyone here to address that tonight?
Anyone that wishes to address Arts, what is it called, Arts Auto Care?
Arts Auto Care, okay.
Anyone here?
We
All
noted
right,
that-
they had asked to for me to let them know so they could speak to that item, but apparently they didn't appear, and I had Lieutenant Troy Lubers here to address their concerns, but
You noted that no one
they're
came
not here.
forward when the request came, so, okay. Other questions? Brennan?
Lori, I noticed this list. Do we have another one coming yet?
Yes, one more in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we have the retail malt beverage. There are not very many on that list. We primarily have the package, and those are all the establishments that have sold to underage persons. It was actually, our last thing was in October of '06, which we did not cover with last spring's renewal, obviously. So those will be the items that we'll be addressing. And what I've done as well, for instance, just to use one for an example, if we have a Get and Go, I kept the whole group of Get and Go's together so you could see the history of all the stores. So the list will look quite long. There's probably, I'm thinking 6 or 7 that have had underage sales, and they will all be present at the meeting. And hopefully you've had a chance to look at the security management plans that they've submitted as well.
Thank you, Lori.
Yep.
Further, Kevin?
Laura, you'd mentioned that someone had asked about a particular business, and
Sure.
you indicated that there was an officer here to, did they have
Right.
some knowledge of a problem over there?
Well, do you want to share what you know about that? Lieutenant Lewis could address that.
Troy Lubers, Lieutenant with the Sioux Falls Police Department. I'm the afternoon watch commander, and we pulled the call history from Arts Auto Care, Canine Clipping Post, which my understanding was where the complaint came from, from 2005. There were a total of 5 incidents reported for Arts Auto Care during 2005, 2006, and the beginning part of 2007, and a total of 6 during that same time frame for the Canine Clipping Post. So it really doesn't show a huge pattern. Those calls that I related to you were either intoxicated subjects or disorderly conduct or situations like that, but they weren't, there isn't a significant number during that time frame.
Questions? Bob Litz?
Lieutenant, are these calls just, that's the address used for the calls? Did the incidences have something to do with the business, or was it just on the property?
Those are the incidents that are on the property themselves. There were some accidents and some fraud reports and things like that, but I separated out just the what I felt were the alcohol and the disorderly subject type calls that would probably be an issue with the liquor license.
There's nobody drinking on these premises, are there, that's causing this? Is that what's...
In speaking with my permanent district officer that has that area, he indicated that there was a situation that had occurred a year or so ago where the owner of Arts had placed a couch behind his business and people were kind of hanging out there. As I drove through there tonight before I came to the meeting, that wasn't present. So I don't know if he cleaned it up or somebody else did.
Very good. Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you very much. Other questions on item number 18?
Move to approve. Brown.
Brown moved. Is there a second?
Second. Let's
second it. Further comments on item number 18? See no further comments. All in favor of approving item 18 will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 18 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 19.
Deferred action, second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, authorizing the mayor to enter into an annexation agreement between the City of Sioux Falls and TV Real Estate, LLC.
This is a proposal to annex land in 69th and Southeastern. This was discussed extensively today at the 4 o'clock informational meeting. As a result of that, the developer has requested, or the applicant, I should say, has requested an additional 1-week deferral with the intent of meeting this Wednesday with the Infrastructure Review Advisory Board on the proposed development agreement, as well as a policy regarding temporary lift stations. In addition to that, the annexation agreement would have a clause that would allow the sanitary sewer evaluation to be reviewed and approved by city staff prior to the effective date of the annexation. So that would be another proposal that we would be looking at. And so I'm making that request on behalf of the petitioner for another 1 week.
So that'd be June 11th, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Kevin?
Mike, the discussion, as you indicated, was quite long this afternoon, and there seemed to be some debate as to whether or not 1 week, even 1 month, would be enough to iron out all these issues. What is the staff's position with regard to how long it's going to take to resolve this? Because I think we've delayed, this will be the third delay now, as I understand. I don't want to defer the fourth time. Is 1 week long enough, or do we need to take a longer time period to defer this?
I think it's, in terms of the sewer analysis, it gives us adequate time to review that prior to the effective date, which would be 20 days after publication. So there is adequate time for that to be accomplished. There is an interest on our behalf to review this again with the Infrastructure Advisory Board and have them provide input and then just bring all the issues to the council and let us vote for it, either for it or against it. So I think we're ready to have that closure to this item. At least that's what we'd like to see.
Assuming we were to approve something next week, and within that interim period before the effective date of the annexation, we found that the lift station analysis, there was something wrong. Then what happens?
Then that would nullify the annexation.
And that's in the agreement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that language would be in the agreement.
Further questions?
Well, I guess I'm wondering that since we're going to be having that review 20 days after, if we approve this annexation, we could just approve this tonight and then start the 20 days right now.
I'm just relaying what the applicant has requested, which
I
is
wish
a 1
the
week
applicant
deferral.
was here. I'd sure like to hear him actually say that.
Well, the analysis of the sewer system is one thing. It's the meeting with the Infrastructure Review Board that would not be accomplished by voting for this tonight.
Yeah, and plus tonight, we do not have an updated agreement to even vote on.
Further questions? Bob Litz.
I'll just comment that I did talk to the applicant in between meetings, and he did indicate that a week would be good. IRAB does meet Wednesday. Is this going to be on our hot topic list?
Yes.
Very good.
Mike, do you think it's reasonable to think that the IRAB board will have enough time and background of information to make any kind of recommendation on this?
I think so. I mean, we're certainly going to pursue that because as we've heard, it's been discussed quite a bit, and I think we're ready to just resolve it either by voting for it or against it.
D.
I would like to make a motion to defer item number 19 for 1 week.
June 11th, that's a motion been made to defer item 19. Is there a second to that motion?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded.
Yeah, I'm not going to be voting for this deferral because I voted for these deferrals in the past, and we still just keep delaying. I think it's important to keep in mind that this is not something that's just happened over the past couple of weeks or even couple of months. The attempt to do this project began back in January. And, I mean, I've heard some concerns here about foot dragging on the part of the city. And some people might say, well, this is just because this is a project that's, you know, in an area outside the city. But also I've heard other people with projects in the city also expressing concern this year about delays. And this seems to symbolize everything about delay. So I'm not going to be voting for this deferral at all because I think we could vote for this this evening, this annexation.
Pat?
Well, I'd just like to point out that as recent as last week's Land Use Committee meeting, there was substantial misunderstandings even on the developer and their own engineer as to what was in the proposal. And the second reading, that the agreement as it's proposed, which we do not even have a copy of, looks nothing close to what the original agreement was at. So there has been substantial changes, and this process has taken time. but it's more important that we do it right than not right.
Yeah, I guess it's time to stop the political games, because that's what's been going on now for several months. We have all these changes because different parties are trying to placate this party and this party, and I think it's time that we stop these political games.
I'm curious what political games are being played here. What specific political games are you alleging, and by who?
Do you wish to answer that question?
No, I don't.
Okay.
There we go.
Gerald?
I just improved.
I would like to reaffirm what Pat just suggested. I've been reading the emails since last Friday, including the Land Use Committee, which Kermit is part of. And we've had 3 changes since Friday. And we had another one this afternoon. So we don't have a policy to approve or to look at or to read. And frankly, we don't have any idea what we're talking about. So I would agree that this needs to be deferred.
Okay, we've got a motion that has been made and seconded to defer item 19 for 1 week to June 11th. Further discussion? Not all in favor of that deferral will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Benninga, or Staggers?
No.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 no. Item 19 has been deferred for 1 week. Item 20.
Deferred action, second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, providing supplemental appropriations for a new street project at Southeastern Avenue from south of 57th Street to south of 69th Street and 69th Street east of Southeastern Avenue to west of the railroad tracks. Public Works, Engineering, $3,600,000.
Staff would request that this be withdrawn, in addition to item 47 would also be withdrawn.
Okay, item number 20 will be withdrawn. It will be noted that that item has been withdrawn. Item 21.
I would assume that's with the concurrence of the applicant?
Yes, that's no longer applicable, either of those 2 items.
Item 21.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending minor amendments in planned development districts. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is an update to our zoning ordinance to clarify the procedure for minor amendments to a planned development zoning district, that they are approved, reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission, rather than going through the same process as a conditional use permit. And also it clarifies that special uses within a planned development zoning district are approved, reviewed and approved in the same manner as a conditional use permit.
Questions of Mike on item number 21? Others that wish to address the council on item number 21? Council discussion or action?
Move for approval, Jamison.
Jamison moves. Is there a second?
Second, Costello.
Costello seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve item 21? See no further comments. All in favor, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson? Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 21 has been approved. Item 22.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by amending airport approach zones to an airport district.
This is a new zoning district that has been discussed extensively with the Airport Authority. Currently, the airport is zoned agricultural, and this is a new zoning district that we would like to recommend for approval tonight. And this is, as I said, has been put together in conjunction with the Airport Authority and also with FAA requirements. Once this ordinance is approved, then we would come back with a request to rezone the appropriate land area of the airport.
Question?
Yeah, Mike, I guess the question I have is, why do we have this? Because the FAA already has regulations that prevents any high buildings and things like that.
This also pertains to development within the airport environs. Under the old agricultural zoning, it was really not up to date in terms of signage, building setbacks, a number of things that are going on with the airport. And now that the airport has updated their master plan, we felt it was a good time to bring this forward and establish the zoning district. And the Airport Authority is in support of this.
Further questions of Mike on item number 22? Others that wish to address the council on item number 22? Council discussion or action?
Move for approval, Costello.
Costello moved. Is there a second?
Second, Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments? I see no further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve item 22, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson. Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 22 has been approved. Item 23.
Second reading, rezone 2007-0323, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at south side of 85th Street, west of Western Avenue, to buffer the 1.5 million gallon water tank and the single-family residential with office development, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is an approximately 12-acre site that would be changed to allow for future office development.
I'll be excusing myself.
Okay, be noted that Councilmember Jamison will be excused from item 23. Further questions of Mike in item 23. Others wish to address council item number 23. Council discussion or action?
Move for approval, Benninga.
Benninga moves. Is there a second?
Second, Brown.
Brown seconds. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Costello.
Yes.
Kavanaugh. Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted, 6 yes, 2 excused. Item 24.
Second reading, rezone 2007-0333, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at West 54th Street, North and Westport Avenue to allow commercial development of property and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is an approximately 19-acre parcel on the north side of 54th Street North, east of I-29. It's an area that's surrounded by planned and existing industrial development, and this particular area adjacent to the interstate would be proposed for commercial land uses.
Questions of Mike on item 24. Others that wish to address the council on item number 24. Council discussion or action?
Move for approval.
Knutson, who seconded?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Further comments? See no further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve item 24, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh. Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 24 has been approved. Item 25.
Second reading, rezone 2007-0405, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at the southeast corner of 42nd Street and Ellis Road to develop the property and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is approximately 3 acres of land that's currently vacant, and in our 2015 plan, this has been identified as future commercial, and this zoning would bring that into compliance with our land use plan.
Questions of Mike on item number 25. Others that wish to address the council on item 25. Council discussion or action?
Move to approve, Litz.
Litz moved. Is there a second?
Second, Jamison.
Jamison seconded. Further comments? See no further comments. All in favor of approving item 25, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 25 has been approved 8-0. Item 26.
Second reading, rezone 2007-0406, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at West 5th Street and La Mesa Drive to create more single-family lots and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is approximately 12 acres of land area that was annexed into the city. Item 50 on the agenda tonight will also be the subdivision plan for this same property. This is proposed to be developed into about 68 single-family lots and also includes a portion of an existing manufactured housing district. And the recommendation is to approve this zoning change.
Questions of Mike on item number 26. Others that wish to address the council on item 26. Council discussion or action
I
on
move
item
for
number 26.
approval on item number 26.
Knutson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments? See no further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve item 26, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Item 26 has been approved 8-0. Item 27.
Second reading, rezone 2007-0410, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at East Grant Street and vacated North LaSalle Avenue to expand East 10th Street storage and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is just over 1 acre of land area, and this commercial storage business has been located here for a number of years. This is a plan to expand that by adding 4 buildings.
Questions of Mike on item number 27? Others that wish to address the council on item 27? Council discussion or action?
Move for approval, Jamison.
Jamison moved. Is there a second?
Second, Benninga.
Benninga seconded. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion to approve item 27, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 27 has been approved 8-0. Item 29.
Second reading, rezone 2007-0413, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at the east side of Career Avenue, south of West Tickman Street, to conform with surrounding zones and develop a business industrial park, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is approximately 9 acres of land on the east side of Career Avenue. It's surrounded by industrial development, and this zoning change will allow the property to be developed as future industrial uses.
Questions of Mike on item number 28? Others that wish to address the council on item 28? Is there council discussion or action?
Move for approval, Benninga.
Benninga moves. Is there a second?
Brown seconds.
Brown seconds. Further comments? I see no further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve item 28 will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 20 has been approved 8-0. Item 29.
Second reading, rezone 2007-0415, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at West Stony Creek and Ellis Road to rezone and subdivide the subject property for Phase 1 of a single-family residential subdivision with 153 lots, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is about 60 acres of land located on the west side of the T. Ellis Road and north of 22nd Street. We also have later on the agenda tonight, item 56, which is the subdivision plan for this property. And as the agenda indicates, it's proposed to be developed into approximately 150 single-family residential lots.
Questions of Mike on item number 29? Others that wish to address the council on item number 29? Council discussion or action?
I move for approval. Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second, Costello.
Costello seconds. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion to approve item 29, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 29 has been approved 8-0. Item 30.
Second reading, rezone 2007-0424, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 6201 through 6501 South Connie Avenue to reflect current land uses and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is existing multifamily buildings which are developed as part of the Platinum Valley subdivision. The buildings contain 264 apartment units, and this is a zoning change to reflect the current land use.
Questions of Mike on item number 30? Others who wish to address council on item number 30? Council discussion or action?
Move to approve, Litz.
Litz moved. Is there a second?
Second, Benninga.
Benninga seconded. Further comments? See no further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve item 30, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 30 has been approved 8-0. Item 31.
Second reading, rezone 2007-0317, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 1701 South Cleveland Avenue to rezone the subject property for the purpose of constructing a 13,600 square foot, two-story, multi-tenant medical office building and an accessory park parking and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is approximately 3 acres of land located along South Cleveland Avenue, just north of 26th Street. The proposed developer has been working very closely with the neighborhood on this development plan. They've gone through a number of changes with their building plans, and this establishes a planned development zoning district specifically for this use that includes additional regulations on limited vehicular access, the site design, building orientation, and preservation of the natural topography. All of these issues have been based on meetings between the neighborhood and the applicant. And I know that there's probably representatives of both sides here tonight to make sure that we're approving what we agreed to. And this is the same plan that has gone through Planning Commission review and recommendation for approval.
Questions of Mike on item number 31. Others that wish to address the council on item 31? Council discussion or action?
Move to approve, Litz.
Let's move. Is there a second?
Second, Brown.
Brown seconded. Further comments? See no further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve item 31, I'll vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 31 has been approved 8-0. Item 32.
Second reading, major amendment, 2007-0404, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Chapter 15.45.070, Planned Development Districts at South Bonson Avenue and East 57th Street, amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is a portion of Summerhill South Plan Development. Involves approximately 37 acres, and we're amending the land uses from multifamily and medium-density residential to expand the single-family residential land uses.
Questions of Mike on item 32? Others that wish to address the council on item 32? Council discussion or action?
I move for approval. Knutson.
Knutson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Who seconded? Litz?
Litz.
Litz seconded. Further comments? No further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve item 32, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 32 has been approved 8-0. Item 33.
Second reading, major amendment, 2007-0414, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Chapter 15.45.070, Planned Development Districts at 1/4 mile south of 57th Street, west of Southeastern Drive, allowing changes in land use as reflected in the revised sub-area regulations and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is a Whisper Ridge development, which is located along Southeastern Avenue, north of 69th Street. We're amending the proposed land uses to reflect the new subdivision layout, and this will allow for medium-density residential as well as a community building to be developed on this property.
Questions of Mike on item number 33. Bob Litz.
Mike, I see this bumps up to the TV land here. Does this in any way affect that?
No.
Thank you.
Further questions? Pat?
Along that lines, Mike, then, the way I understood it earlier, that TV's road that they're putting in, they're paying for this portion of the road that goes in front of this particular property?
Would extend up to into this area, yes.
So where typically this developer would have to pay for it himself, they're building it for him?
It would extend up to this.
Oh, up to.
Up
So,
to the corner of this development, yes.
so I'm curious, if we do this, then we're going to, at some point in time, we're going to have a city road and then,
Yeah, I believe that Southeastern Avenue is already programmed to be, petitioned to be improved onto this area. I'll let Mark clarify this for you.
The current arterial street policy says that they adhere to our arterial street standards. The city will pay this cost.
Further questions on item 33? Others that wish to address the council on item 33? Council discussion or action?
Move for approval, Benninga.
Benninga moves. Is there a second?
Second, James.
Costello seconded. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion to approve item 33, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Costello?
yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 33 has been approved 8-0. Item 34.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, conveying Lot 6A, except Lot H1, Block 2, Riverdale Addition, to the City of Sioux Falls.
This ordinance is to approve the sale of the 1709 East 26th Street property that's sold at auction for a high bid of $161,000.
Questions of Mark?
Yes, it's just general questions about buying and selling land. Every time the city sells land, the city council has to approve it. Is that right?
That's true.
Okay, now when we buy land, sometimes we have to approve it, like when we bought the land on North Dakota for $30 a square foot. We had to approve that. But then this house here that we're talking about, we didn't have to approve it. What are the standards for when we approve the buying of land and when we do not get involved?
Maybe I'll let the city attorney's office respond to that.
I'm sorry, I don't have that statute with me. I know it is state law, Councilman Staggers. I can get it to you later, but I can't. I don't have that information with me right now.
Does Mike know?
Yeah, the downtown parking lot was based on a supplemental appropriation request,
Okay.
and that was the reason that we brought that for the
okay.
council to consider.
Okay, so then,
In our CIP, we have, the park department has land acquisition funds that are programmed each year.
Sure.
So we go through and we do purchase land in accordance with the budget that you have approved. But when we sell land, then that is required to be brought forth by the city council.
so the land, I think the planning department is buying some land over in the 10th Street, 11th Street area. That is
Not that I know of today, but there's been discussions of potential land acquisitions.
So once again, we would not get involved unless it was a supplemental. That would be the only way we get involved. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Further questions on item 34? Others who wish to address the council on item 34? Council discussion or action?
I move for approval, Knutson.
Knutson moves. There a second?
Second, Jameson.
Jameson seconded. Further comments? I see no further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve item 34, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Item 34 has been approved 8-0. Item 35.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, providing supplemental appropriations, 2007 cooperative agreements for mosquito control/health.
These appropriations are the result of the cooperative agreements with Minnehaha County and with Lincoln County. It's a little over $214,000 that will be added to the budget, and they would be exclusive for the two county programs, as the city's program is already funded. This is about $25,000 more than the appropriations have been before, because later on, when we're approving the looking at the cooperative agreement, we've made some changes in that cooperative agreement that we will do some additional work, and so those responsibilities have been adjusted in the agreement, and the Minnehaha will be adding added dollars to their cooperative agreement for that work.
Yeah, just to clarify, Judy, okay, you're asking for an additional $24,000?
No,
Okay.
I'm not asking for any more monies. These monies are appropriated. These will be paid by Minnehaha County. I'm asking for the supplement to the budget, but the money will be coming from Minnehaha County and from Lincoln County to do their work.
Okay, so, okay.
Right,
So
it's a
no
supplement to the
city
budget. No,
tax
there's no
money,
additional
nothing.
city monies involved in this at all.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions of Judy on item 35? Others that wish to address the council on item 35? Council discussion or action?
Move to set the date of hearing for June 18th.
Okay.
5 p.m. at the
that's
joint
right.
city-county meeting.
Okay. Jameson moved.
Second, Costello.
Costello seconded to set the hearing date. Okay, good. All in favor of that motion to set the hearing date will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
All members present voted, 7 yes, 1 excuse. The hearing date has been set for June 18th at 5 o'clock for item 35 at the county courthouse. Item 36.
first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city, revising sewer, utility rates, and charges. 37 is first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by increasing water rates. 38, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by revising Chapter 18 thereof, increasing landfill rates. 39, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by amending the schedule of rates to be charged by the City Light and Power Department for furnishing electric current for light and power purposes. 40, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Chapter 38, right-of-way vacation petition of the revised ordinances of the city. 41, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by adding a new Article 10 to Chapter 38 of the Code of Ordinances entitled Plan Review Fees. 42, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Chapter 38 of the revised ordinances of the city. 43, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Chapter 41, utilities of the revised ordinances of the city by adjusting the fee schedule for the light department. 44, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Chapter 41, utilities of the revised ordinance of the city by adjusting the fee schedule for the water department. 45, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by increasing permitted front foot street assessments.
Good evening, Mark Cotter with the Office of Public Works. Our office has coordinated to bring our rate packages forward to you as a package that Fiscal Committee has seen, and also we've shared this with you at the last informational. What we do have with us tonight is we have our division managers. We also have our consultants if you have questions on the analysis. I will go through this as quickly as possible. I realize it's been a long night. We also, item 42 is new to you. That is work that the Alternative Financing Committee has done. I've got a short slide presentation, and then that will also tie into item 55. So I will speak quickly. If you have any questions for our consultants, we'd also like to address them at this reading if possible. However, if you would like them to come back for second reading, we will arrange that. Okay? Okay, again, we're going to look at our enterprise funds. We're going to look at our light and power customer rates, but also fees that are associated when we install new lights in new developing areas. Our sanitary landfill tipping fees, water purification customer rates, and water reclamation customer rates. We also will be looking at general fund fee increases in the engineering and street department, plan review fees, and right-of-way vacation fees. The right-of-way vacation fee will be an increase from an existing fee. And the street department, we are bringing forward the street frontage fee and the water tapping fees. First enterprise fund is the light and power. The green area is the service area that we serve. In 2006, we had a rate increase of 9%. Those revenues are tracking close to what was expected. However, with the factors that have happened in Nebraska, the low water levels in the western U.S., and the replacement of a key transformer at the Elm Street substation required us to affect our rates. 2008, we expect to increase the rates approximately 16%, and right now, with current capital improvements and estimates of operating, we expect to bring forward a rate increase next year in the order of magnitude of 5%. One of the key things for the light department is 60% of their operating expenses is buying power. What impact does this have to a typical residential user? It will increase their monthly bill by approximately $3.31. One key thing to remember is that there is only about 1,600 residential customers that our light and power division serves. Secondary piece of the fee modifications is when we install a new street light, there is a cost for the pole. There's also a cost for the wire, and these fees will reflect our actual cost. So they will be moving from $200 up to $225. And our residential zoning per foot cost has not increased for many, many years. So that will be increasing from $1.70 to $3.30 per foot.
Just to clarify,
Yes.
if I could ask on that one. Okay, this is something that all residential owners pay in Sioux Falls?
No, that's
okay,
not
this
true.
is just for the
When we bid a
customers.
street project, we typically bid the installation. Okay, and then what we always say is we provide the wire and light shafts. But we still recoup those costs. However, we are able to buy wire and the poles at large quantities. And so when we run the special assessment on those properties, if that's the cost per light shaft, and then that's also the cost per running foot for the wire. Okay? So that's only for new street installations.
Okay, so you're going up from $1.70 on New Street to $3.30
Per foot. And we've had that fee in place, Mike. I'm not sure if you remember how long that's been, but that's our actual cost, and that's what we'd like to bring them up to reflect our actual cost. Okay, any further questions?
Go ahead.
Okay, next is the landfill tipping fee analysis. This is in line with what you've seen last year. In 2007, the increase went to $24.50 in 2008. Last year, they expected to raise this to $30, and R.W. Beck is consistent with that rate increase, and so that's what we'll ask you to act on. There is a number of fees that will be affected. However, the two key fees is the municipal solid waste fee, which is the $30 per ton, and the construction and debris fee. You have a question?
Yeah, Mark, I was just wondering, let's see, we've raised these fees how many years in a row now?
Jason, would you like to give a history?
What was the question again?
Yeah, how many years in a row have we raised the fees?
Years ago, did we raise them?
Years in a row.
We raised them in September of 2005 or 2006 last year, and then we raised them in 2004. And the last increase before that was in 1994.
So 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, and then in 2009 we'll raise them again.
Yep.
Now,
That's anticipated right now, yes.
I mean, this is generating a lot of money. What are you going to spend the money on?
The majority, a lot of that money in the CIP is for cell construction for expansion of the landfill. Cell 2 is anticipated to cost right in between $4 and $5 million. Cell number 3 is about $5 to $6 million, and I don't have the exact numbers with me. That's the two major CIP projects. There's also landfill closure and landfill leachate and gas recovery from the pre-subtitle D area. Along with the cell construction will be additional leachate pond construction, and then there's some other items in the CIP additionally to that. Those are the major items in the CIP, though.
If I could just, okay, so $5 to $6 million on one cell, and did you say $4 to $5 million on the other one, Jason?
Cell 2, which will be in 2008 and 2009, is about $3.9 million.
Okay.
Cell 3, which would be in 2012 and 13, and we're building revenues for the future cells, is about actually $8 million.
Okay, $8 million.
The leachate pond in 2009 will be about $750,000. The leachate pond in 2013 will be about $850,000. Landfill closure in 2009 and 2010 anticipated to be about $1 million, In addition to that, when we close that area, we'll be putting in additional recovery wells for the landfill gas and landfill leachate in that area. That's in our pre-subtitle D area, which is an unlined area without collection system. And that's anticipated to cost around $2.9 million. That's the majority of the cost from 2008 until 2012 in the CIP. There are some other related items in there, but those are the majority of the costs.
Now, on this, I just have two more questions. On the cells, are we putting liners in these cells?
There will be a synthetic liner on the bottom.
Just on the bottom, not on the sides?
It's required to be on the sides right now. We will additionally be putting it on the bottom of the landfill also. And the reasoning for that is additional liability to the city will be removed with the installation of that liner. Plus, it will allow us to do some additional leachate recirculation activities in the expansion area of the landfill, which when we recirculate leachate in the landfill, it adds to our settlement and will potentially add life to the landfill with an increased space that we will gain from it. So the cost of the landfill liner on the bottom will be far outweighed by what we gain from putting it in.
And am I correct in my understanding, there is no requirement that we do put the liner in the bottom?
There isn't a requirement right now, but let's say 10, 15 years down the road, we don't put that liner in, we find out that the liner that we could have put in, which when you look at the total cost of the project, is a small percentage. It's not the majority of the cost. The environmental liability that we are getting out of as a city is far outweighed by not putting that liner in.
So how much is the bottom liner going to be costing?
I don't have the breakdown of those costs, but out of the actual construction of the landfill, the $3.9 million, about $2 million of that is for actual excavation costs. $1.9 million of that is for the liner, the leachate collection system, and other infrastructure related to the landfill cell. And of that $1.9 million, I would anticipate less than a quarter of that. So again, I don't have the breakdowns of that number. I don't want to give you an exact number without having those project costs with me.
And then also, too, this increase that we're going to have next year, well, for MSW anyway, is going to be going up to $30. How much money will that generate next year for the landfill? Well, let me back up and ask, just what's the total amount we're going to get of an increase next year with all these increases?
The increase is $1,532,357.
That's with all the increases at the landfill for next year?
That's correct.
Okay.
The MSW alone will generate about $5.4 million in revenue in 2008.
Jason, if we were to be able to dramatically move the rate or the amount of recycling that was done in our community, would we be able to offset or delay some of these infrastructure costs in our landfill?
One thing that we look at 2 times per year is our airspace utilization, and what that is how much garbage or waste we can get into a cubic yard of space, poundage-wise. And we look at that twice a year, and increasing the recycling can impact that number, as well as more efficient landfill operations. And we have seen some of that. Since 2002, 2003, we've seen almost a double in our compaction ratio at the landfill. And that, coupled with the increase in recycling, we have seen a longer life of what we are utilizing. Currently, cell number 2 is expected to actually be constructed 2 years ago. And we're not anticipating now to construct it until 2008 and 2009, with the hopes that potentially, as we increase recycling and more efficient landfill operations, we could even push that out another year.
And if I recall from when we talked about recycling probably several months ago, our rate was 8%.
Our rate was 8% for 2006. For 2007, it's 9%. And based on the numbers that we've seen so far, we anticipate that rate to go up for 2008. So we have seen increased recycling rates. Again, 1% is a small increase, but it's a start, and we anticipate that rate to go up from there. And as of June, we have seen the rate reflect through the majority of the haulers higher than the 8% to 9%. And that is something that with more education and increased landfill rates can actually help recycling too. And that's not our basis for increasing the rates. Basis is to generate the revenue for landfill construction.
But a straight yes or no, a substantial increase in the recycling that we do as a community would help us offset some of this infrastructure costs in our landfill.
What it will do is it will push them further out into the future, thus offsetting the need for the revenue.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jason, we're a regional landfill. This is not a landfill just for Sioux Falls. Let's suppose we just make this a Sioux Falls landfill. How many years out could we extend the life of the landfill by not having other communities, other governmental entities coming in?
Well, our landfill is a regional landfill, kind of by state delegation also, but if we were to just service the Sioux Falls area within the city limits, the majority of the waste actually comes from the city of Sioux Falls. If you look at our 5-county service area, it's probably in 225,000 residents, and about 150,000 of those reside in Sioux Falls. And the majority of the business waste also is within Sioux Falls. So if we were to eliminate, I don't have the exact numbers, but I would venture to say that around 85% of the waste comes from the Sioux Falls area. If you put that out in landfill life, maybe 15 years additional in the future. As far as the actual volumes, without better data, I can't give an answer.
Okay. Thank you.
Further questions? Just a quick one. Jason, in the past you've brought us what the haulers are doing in terms of percentage of recycling. Can we see an update sometime in the future on that and see where we're at?
As far as the haulers?
Yeah, you gave us a list before of all the haulers, and I believe it was like spot checks, what percent of them the recycling was.
We can provide those numbers.
Okay.
We can get an updated list and present it at a informational.
Sure.
Okay.
Sometime in the future, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, further question? Okay, thanks, Jason.
Okay, a couple more slides here to show you where our rates reside with the area towns, and still in that, obviously, as this chart shows, even with the reflected increase, we're still near the bottom of the chart.
If I could ask a question about that. I'm always intrigued by the different cities we get. Each of these charts have different cities. We compare this city, and all over. I mean, is there any standard that's we can use here? I mean, we can get cities to show what we want to show, basically. You see what I mean? We don't have a real cohort group that we use all the time, day in and day out, to make these comparisons.
The reason we utilize the cities that are on this list right here is because that they're located within a certain mile radius around the Sioux Falls landfill, and most of them are within the majority of them are in the state of South Dakota. If you look out at the east and west coast, the numbers are much, much higher than what is on this list, and we didn't want to skew the numbers by having a long list ahead of this, so we use ones that were within a mile, so many mile radius of the Sioux Falls landfill.
So I was always wondering, are there other places that are maybe even lower than we are, too?
There are some places that are potentially lower, but then there are also a lot of landfills that are probably double of what we are, some even triple or quadruple.
Bob?
Well, I think the chart to me is interesting in the fact that Sioux City is considerably higher than we are, but the cost of garbage collection in Sioux City is dramatically lower than it is in Sioux Falls.
One thing that should be noted that isn't on here, the Sioux City landfill is probably going to be being closed in the next couple of years, and the Jackson, Nebraska landfill will be taking most of that waste, and they are in the process of looking at some rate increases also.
Further questions? Okay, thanks, Jason.
Okay, this is the C&D waste side, which shows you where our rates reflect in association with those towns. One of the questions that came up at fiscal committee is what might this mean to a typical residential garbage cost, and so if we assume that typical cost is $20 per month and that the tipping fee of that $20 is representatively 30%, that makes up $6 of the 20, and then if you inflate that by an additional 22%, that is the approximate increase that we could expect a hauler to increase. However, they are in the private sector and they have the choice to go above or below that number. Okay, our third enterprise fund that we'd like to speak to, and again in the upper right hand corner is the item that this addresses on tonight's agenda. As you've seen in the past, this is what is the blue is projected and the purple is what was actual for 2006 to give you a snapshot of the operating revenue and the income, the expense, capital outlays, and unrestricted cash balance. There's been significant work stepping forward this year with Lewis and Clark funding with the sale of the $70 million bond that will start our prepayment. This is a graph that you've seen many times, but the reason we've put it in here is so you could see what was anticipated last year for 2008. We were anticipating a 12.5% increase, and you'll see in the ensuing slides that that has been raised to 13.5%. The rate adjustments that went into effect for 2007 adjusted from 2006, $1.34 for the meter charge up to $1.50, and the Tier 1 from $1.54 up to $1.72. For the 2008 budget and CIP process, we look at annually what the revenues are, what the capital outlays are, and there are significant distribution projects as listed there, 85th Street, 57th Street. Operating expenses, our chemical cost has gone up substantially, and as we've talked about at the informational, our electricity has also increased since they are one of the main customers of the Light and Power Division. And then also to reflect now what the actual Lewis and Clark bonding cost is. So 2008, we have a 13.5% rate increase that would reflect those changes from the 2007 to the 2008 column. One of the things we've done off this chart that you've come to see is that we've taken the out years off, so we're only looking at the 5-year period, but this is where you can view that we are recommending a 13.5% rate increase. Next year we're anticipating a 14.5% rate increase. This is a chart that we showed you last time that was surface water systems and where our rates currently fall from the 2007 to 2008 rate adjustment. One of the questions that Councilman Staggers asked is this states for surface water systems, and so our consultant has added the same correlation for systems that have surface water and groundwater systems to show you where we fall on that same tier with making that adjustment. So that is a new slide to you. Yes?
Yeah, thank you very much for the additional slide on this one.
Absolutely.
But, for example, Sidney, Montana, $11.50. Is that the actual bill that a person would receive? I mean, in other words, do we have all the administrative costs? Do we have all this in here? I mean, the actual bill that people receive.
Steve, do you want to speak to your rate study?
Councilman Staggers, members of the City Council, what we do is we survey all of the systems greater than 5,000 in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Montana, and Wyoming. And what we've done is we've elected to use a standard volumetric measurement of 7,500 gallons per month. And so it's not it's normalized all the 7,500 gallons. And we survey many more systems than this, and so to reassure you that it's representative, Sidney is the lowest in the survey. East Grand Forks is the highest in the survey for water utilities, and then what we did is tried to pick a few throughout the cross-section, and so if I tried to show you the whole survey, it would be 3 or 4 pages long, but this is a representative cross-section of the survey results from 2007.
So once again, these numbers that we're giving would be if a person used 7,500 gallons, that's what their bill would be.
Yeah, the blue is the base charge for whether they include volume or not, and then the purple is the volumetric charge for 7,500 gallons.
Okay, in summary, so a 13% rate increase on a typical residential bill will increase their bill by $2.59. Our same consultant, Steve Burrian with AHUS, also performed the rate analysis for the Water Reclamation Division. And so the same methodology as we spoke of in the past, you will see. And so we will jump right to what the recommended 2008 rate adjustments will be. Residential would be a 19% increase. Commercial will be 24% increase, and I'll let you see those at the bottom. City of Brandon is 0% because our contract only allows us to make those rate adjustments every 2 years, and we're in the off year. Again, this is a similar slide that you've seen, which represents the operating revenue and other income, and then the operating expense, capital outlay, and the unrestricted cash balance. We included this slide because we had a question at the informational of what was the anticipated rate adjustment in 2008 last year, and we were anticipating an 18% rate increase last year. As you just seen, we are recommending a 19% rate increase. So again, here in this slide that you see now, we've taken several of those years off to get it closer to our 5-year CIP plan, and the top line is the rate increases that we are showing that in 2008 we are recommending a 19% rate increase.
Yes, Mark, when we talk about the water rate increase, I think people understand that, we have this bond issue and Lewis and Clark and so forth, and we need that revenue. Can you provide the justification here for a rate increase for the sewer?
We certainly can. I will probably have Steve talk in more detail to that, but as we talked earlier tonight, we have a number of capital projects that we plan for. The next one is that you'll see in our CIP is planning for the next wastewater treatment facility, which, as you see, increases in 09, which would be we would try to procure the land, and then in the ensuing out years, that's when the construction of that major project would go. But we can certainly provide more detail for you if you'd like.
Yeah.
You guys can do it. We'll share.
Trent Lubbers, wastewater superintendent. Future CIP years include projects like Central Maine rehabilitation. I'm not sure if that's on here. We also have a pump station associated with Eastside Sanitary Sewer that comes in 2009. That'll be built on the north end near the existing wastewater treatment plant. Operating costs, significant increases, electricity for the new pump station that's being built. It's going to be a very electrically intensive treatment plant, and then we also have, a pumping plant, and we also have a different electrical provider, and so we're making an assumption, an educated guess based on what the electrical rates are going to be. But operating budget request in 2008, I think $700,000 of the increase was attributed to 4 line items. One of them was a regulatory item for a TMDL study required by the state of South Dakota. One of them was electrical expenses associated with the existing treatment facility and the new pumping facility. One of them was software for the billing department. And I think the third one was solid waste fee increases. So there's other capital improvement projects coming up. The existing treatment facility is 20 to 24 years old, depending on which phase it was constructed in. And so there are many projects associated with rehabilitation of the existing wastewater treatment facility.
So all of those capital improvement programs you mentioned, it's going to be justifying, in the out years, double-digit increases in wastewater rates. Is that basically? We're talking about substantial, 12, 16, 18, 18. These are annual increases.
Yes, sir. There's, if you look at the rehabilitation projects, they become fairly sophisticated construction projects. If you look at the Central Main project, which runs all along the River Greenway from the interstate in the Tut Hill Park all the way down through the downtown area to the street department facility and out to our Brennan treatment facility. Construction costs are going to be fairly expensive for something like that. That's in the out years. And then the aging of the facility that we have now, we've been pretty lucky to have a new treatment facility, and the growth and development that we've had has been covered with the existing rates. But now that the treatment facility is getting older and we need to start taking care of the existing infrastructure, those costs go up. Also, as a caveat, we have a facilities plan that we're doing right now to take a look for the next 10-year planning period for the existing treatment facility. So, as Mark has said, and we've said all the way through this process, it's a living process, and the numbers may change in the out years depending on what our consultant gives us. And that's all. That's based on growth and based on future projections on what the existing wastewater treatment facility would see and how quickly that new wastewater treatment plant will come online. So.
And that new wastewater treatment facility, when do you project coming online?
It all depends on the rate of development for the east side sanitary sewer system. The existing treatment facility is designed, or the existing pumping plant is designed for 3.5 million gallons a day to be brought back to the existing treatment facility. And once we've reached that 3.5 million gallon threshold, we would have to construct a treatment plant to take the additional waste.
Munson, Mark Cotter has asked that since we do this regional survey each year that I present the results of the next two slides on his behalf. Much like we did for water, we also survey the 5-state region for wastewater. What we have here is a graphic of how the Sioux Falls 2007 rate compares to the 2007 rate in the region for, again, 7,500 gallons of volume discharged, assumed to be discharged to the sewer based on the water meter charge. Then it shows if you follow the 19% rate increase, where a 2008 rate would be if none of the other systems in the survey were to raise their rates in 2007. So it's somewhat conservative. Again, I cautioned you at the fiscal committee, for those that were here, that this isn't fully representative, because if you go to the next page, there were enough systems surveyed that you're really worrying around the quartile here and not around the average, because the whole second page is rates greater than what you're paying in Sioux Falls.
Okay, so in summary, with the 19% rate increase, we expect that the typical residential bill will go up $3.18.
And Mark, that'll be a total of how much then for next year?
In revenue?
In revenue, yeah.
It'll be an increase of $2,156,418. Okay, then at the last part of this presentation, we've combined what the increase would be for water and water reclamation, and combining those, the typical residential house will see an increase of $6.25. And again, with the AE2S regional rate study, it shares what those combined amounts are and where Sioux Falls is at, and still in the major cities of South Dakota, we are still on a very competitive rate for our water and wastewater. Okay, now to move into the two general...
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
I noticed that Lincoln County Rural Water got a 10% increase. The citizens of Sioux Falls is somewhere 13.5 to 18%, depending on the usage. Does Lincoln County Rural Water have any differentiation between their water rates, between their residential user, their business user, and so forth?
Let me ask Steve to speak to that.
Councilmember Jamison, Mayor Munson, I'm not sure I can answer that question. I know from Sioux Falls' perspective, maybe I can provide a little explanation on why we differentiate. One, because they're pulling off at certain parts of your distribution system, when we did the cost of service analysis, we only looked at the parts of the distribution system that benefited them. So rather than them paying their embedded share of the entire distribution system, they paid a portion of that. Secondly, Lincoln County will ultimately be a member of the Lewis and Clark Regional Water System Project, just like Sioux Falls. So as the Lewis and Clark costs are being passed on to your consumers, those costs weren't passed on to Lincoln County. As a result, they'll be doing that directly on their own. As to your specific question of how they differentiate rates, I'm not familiar with that, but we can get that and provide that information to you.
And do they have within their distribution system any kind of a water conservation program? Do you know? Just out of curiosity, I'm curious.
We need to tag team, I guess.
Okay.
Randy Jansen, Water Superintendent. I believe they do. I think the city of Harrisburg and the city of T, they've got two, I believe, twice-a-week watering restrictions. As far, and I believe this North Lincoln Rural Water also has those in place, talking with Robin Dykstra, their water manager. However, I would like to follow up on that before I really give you a good solid answer.
I appreciate that because it's one of those things that if we're going to press the people of Sioux Falls to conserve water, we ought to do the same thing for the other people we supply water
Sure,
to.
I understand.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the Engineering Department, General Fund Department. Item 40 and 41 are in this presentation. The first fee that we will talk to you about is that currently we have a $75 per application if you'd like to vacate a street or right-of-way. We've taken a look at what some of our respective costs are, and then also looked at some other like cities in the area to establish where we would like to start this fee at through this process. And then what we would commit to is that we would start to detail track with our staff that actually reviews these applications and does the necessary steps to actually get a detailed review of what the actual cost is. And so our proposed fee is very conservative, in line with the rest of those communities that are listed. To give you a snapshot of how many right-of-way vacation petitions that have been brought forward, that you've seen certainly a significant amount of them. In 2006, there was 22 that was brought forward. So again, this is not a major revenue stream, but we do want to bring this in line with what, bring this closer in line what this is actually costing. Okay, and the second fee proposed that we would bring forward for the engineering department is a final development plan fee of $300 plus $10 per lot, and then a construction plan review fee of $100. And if you remember, let me first go to this slide. There's really three stages: primary, preliminary, final, and construction. And at the preliminary stage, the planning department collects that fee of $225. In the past, the engineering department has not. However, it's a very common fee to collect, and it also would take some impact off the general fund for this service that we provide to a small amount of people. And so as you progress through the matrix and also progress down from preliminary, final, and construction, you start to see the level of involvement that our engineering team puts in to look at the necessary infrastructure, erosion control, so we can adequately provide this review and coordinate the construction. And now to go back one step, just to give you a show of what area cities charge, we would propose the two fees shown in red. Questions?
How much money are you planning to generate on this, Mark?
From the two... Combining the fee for the right-of-way vacation fees and the plan review fees, we estimate approximately $65,000. Okay, and moving on to our last department.
Just a question. The plat approval transferring from planning to engineering, I think the director of planning now can approve plat maps. Will it be the city engineer, or will that have to come up to you?
That'd be the city engineer.
Okay.
Further questions? Okay, the last department that we'll speak to tonight is our street department. Again, this is item 44. This is the tapping fee that when a new house is constructed and a tap is made on the main line and brought over to the property line, we'll discuss that fee, but we'll also discuss raising the frontage fee from 80 cents to 90 cents in this. I think one of the things that we've recognized since 2000 to 2005 is we've had the ability to really program what the asphalt cost is going to be. This industry has been very consistent on what the price of asphalt's been over that time period. One of the things we've all seen is that this industry has made a major correction in the last 2 years. We hope that these rates are starting to stabilize, but it significantly is reducing our purchasing power. And so we just wanted to show you our 2007, when we buy asphalt at the plant, we're paying $38.43, and just 2 years ago it was $24.93. On there again, we've got from the year period the asphalt cost per ton, our estimated street lane miles of 1,235. The main thing we would like you to see here is that since 1997, our lane miles have increased about 36%. There are many programs we do within the street maintenance department, but there is a snapshot of what this additional 10 cents of street frontage would buy, and we've listed them for you. We've shared those with you in the past, but it is very key as we have increases in many areas of our street department, from our utilities to our chemicals, that this additional $350,000 that this additional 10 cents provides is very key and consistent with what was brought forward a number of years ago that would bring forward a 5-year plan raising the street frontage fee 10 cents per year to get it up to $1. And this again we would ask you to put into effect January of 2008 and raise it from 80 cents to 90 cents. Yes.
So once this will probably pass to 90 cents per foot. So how much, you said that's going to generate 350,000, or is that 600,000?
350,000 is the approximate amount that each 10 cents
Okay.
provides.
And then for the average residential owner, how much will that 90 cents then be?
I'll provide that for you here in just a minute.
Oh, okay,
Councilman.
thanks.
Again, we are bringing forward to you our capital program, but this is the map that's currently published that shows our recommended cycle as it was, and as we've talked, that with programming our CIP, really concentrating on what the asphalt overlay cycle needs to be, which we feel it needs to be 12 years for arterial streets, 17 years for residential streets. You will see our program come forward this year that will speak to this. And so, again, we just wanted to put this slide in here for viewing. The second piece of the street department is the cost that's highlighted in that magenta line, that clouded line from the main to the curb stop. There's essentially, we've got 4 photos here, and going clockwise, starting with the 2 Smith tapping machines that are mounted in the truck. How a house gets water is the appropriate size, or if it's a commercial customer, we know what size it's going to be when it leaves the shop because that die has been put on the machine. As you move around, there's a saddle that's put on the main. The machine is lifted down into the hole, and then with the valve attached, we cut a cookie out of the main, pull that cookie all the way out through the valve, close the valve, and we essentially have a live tap that we've not had to take anyone down or close the water main to perform. Okay. Here's This will probably be easier to look on your handout, but essentially these fees have not been raised since 1999. We've seen a significant increase in the cost of our materials, and so we would like to bring this up in 2007 to our actual costs. And the key is, if we do not raise these rates to the recommended rates, we are essentially subsidizing this program $254,000 if we had the same amount of taps in 2007 as we had in 2006. So we would ask you to support us in these adjustments. Some of them have increased substantially, but you'll also see as you come down the chart, we're also doing those are some of the ones we're doing the fewest of. And so the second line item, the one that we do the most of, that's obviously where the majority of that revenue stream would get corrected. Again, outcome from the fiscal committee is, what do these rate increases mean to the typical residential household? A light increase of $3.31 per month. Sanitary landfill, hour calculation, $1.34 per month. Water, $2.59 per month. Wastewater, $3.18 per month. Now, the asterisk on the light is that we do have 1,633 light customers, and so for the majority of Sioux Falls, they're not on that. And so if you would remove the $3.31, you would have just over $7 per household that these rates would increase. And then, Councilman Staggers, to answer your question of what does this dime mean, it would increase the typical residential home by $8 per annual. Okay, so there is 2 stages when we'd like to implement these rate adjustments. January 1 of 2008, we would like to implement the customer rates for the light and power, tipping fees for sanitary landfill, customer rates for the water purification, water reclamation, and the street frontage fee for the street department. The rates that we'd like to make effective on July 12th, which would be the effective date after the second reading and the publish and waiting period, would be the light installation fees. That's the cost per pole and per foot. Plan review fees, right-of-way vacation fees, and the street department water tapping fees. Again, that revenue goes into the water fund, but it is administered by the street department. And as I asked if there's not any further questions, we do have a very short slide presentation for item 42. And then if I could stay up here and just speak to item 55, we can keep this moving.
Are you serving any popcorn?
We'll put that on the list for second reading. Okay, we've had a great deal of discussion about alternative financing tonight. We're excited to bring forward the first outcomes of those committee meetings that we started in February. And so let me step you through this. The areas of focus that we've started back in February, we started with collector streets, and we've got 7 areas of focus that we are looking at. Tonight, I just specifically want to speak to the collector streets and what we've worked out with the committee. When we started discussions, we asked the development community, we would like them, since the collector street is essentially designed to collect the development traffic, we asked them that they would pay the entire cost of a collector street, whether it was a major or a minor. And so that would require the city to stop reimbursing for street oversizing in width and pavement depth. We also asked that if there was a water oversizing, in many cases these collector streets are on the half-mile grid, which our water distribution master plan. On the mile grid is a 16-inch water main. On the half-mile grid it's a 12, and then inside the development it goes down to an 8. We have been reimbursing for the increased cost for an 8-inch to a 12-inch. They've agreed to make that standard, and so we will no longer be reimbursing for the half-mile grid 12-inch mains. Sanitary sewer, we typically do not have very much in that line, and then storm sewer we've already seen increases this year, and so we would remain steady there. One thing we'd hoped is that we've got several of these projects that have been petitioned that the adjacent landowners would like them built, but in some cases with the city having participation, we've not prioritized those just with available funding. And so one thing we'd like to, that will be coming next, is to bring forward those streets in a bond anticipation note, but I won't go into those details yet tonight. Okay, so the summary of changes that we've worked through with the Alternative Financing Committee that's been endorsed by that committee and also our IRAB committee is the last one on there is this item I'm speaking to, which is the professional fees. We've always had that as a, whatever the construction amount was, there was a flat 14% charged, and in some cases the design fee for that project might have been considerably higher, and in some cases, if it was a large project, might have been considerably lower. And so what we asked for is, if the city is facilitating, we would like to just assess those actual costs. And so what we've come up with, instead of having one flat, as you progress up in construction amount, that table at the bottom, we typically can predict that the engineering and professional fees, legal fees go down just based by their very nature. And so the tiered structure that is down below, if the contract value is under $500,000, we can assess up the actual cost of those services up to a cap of 20%. And then I won't read those ranges for you going down through there, but at least it provides the city assurances that we can assess those actual costs, but it also provided the developers or the abutting property owners that we would have a cap. And so it addressed both sides. Now if I could just speak to the top item, since that is a resolution, but I would have to do that on item 55. Is that okay? Okay. Item 55, the pavement section. One of the changes that we're bringing forward is that our collector streets right now in our design standards are a 6-inch asphalt mat laid in 3 lifts over a 6-inch aggregate base. We're very fortunate in this part of the country that we have some of the best aggregates in the country, and so one thing we would recommend is that we invest in our base, and so we are recommending to change that pavement structure from a 6-inch asphalt over 6-inch base to a 5-inch asphalt over 9-inch base. Our engineering community and our developing community has endorsed that, and so we would look forward to bringing that forward. And then the second one there is the reimbursement for extra depth with streets and water main. Those will be coming forward to you in executive orders. And that's all I have for those items.
Questions of Mark?
Yeah, Mark, I guess, I didn't fully understand all these professional fees that exist with just the road construction. Is that right? I just want to clarify that.
Yes, if we get a petition to construct a street, the city selects a consultant and then goes through the design and construction process. That 14% has been in there and it's a flat fee for over time. So if it was a large project and it happened to come in at 12%, they were negatively impacted. They were actually being charged a higher fee than what it actually cost. But on the other side, we looked at over 30 projects, showed them in ranges what we're actually getting services for, and it varied based on the construction amount. So this was, again, this was supported by our IRAB committee.
What can you construct for under $500,000 and then have a charge of 20%?
Well, again, the same level of documentation has to be brought forward. It still has to be erosion control plans. There are until the construction value gets up there, it is just very difficult to design a street to go through all the legal proceedings for less than that amount. And so when you're looking at not only the design, the survey, and the construction administration.
So what will $500,000 buy you today per street?
It would buy you approximately 5 blocks of a collector street. And again, there is so many economies in scale. If that was extended to 10 or 15 blocks, many of those plan notes they address the entire project. So you really start to see economies in scale with design consultants as the projects go up, and that's what those numbers reflect. Okay. The impact, which this will reduce the city's obligation of one block of a typical collector street of approximately $11,500.
So how much is that going to raise the cost of housing, new housing in Sioux Falls? I mean, this cost is just going to be passed on to the consumers. Have we figured that out?
We haven't, because the philosophy is that the traffic that is using the collector street is actually benefiting from it. And so, again, we did not do that. Okay.
Kevin?
Mark, we're absorbing these costs now. We're simply talking about shifting those costs someplace else.
To the developers, and they've agreed to do that.
So right now, the property taxpayers are paying for this.
That's correct.
Right.
Okay, and we just have the current petition collector street map, and we will talk much more in detail to this when we bring forward the framework of a bond anticipation note, which is, again, collateralized by the land and it's not considered constitutional debt. Thank you very much.
Questions of Mark on items 36 through 45? Not. Is there a motion at the hearing date for items 36 through 45 for June 18?
So moved. Jamison.
Jamison moved. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Further comments on the motion to set the hearing date for items 36 through 45? I see no further discussion. All in favor of the motion to set the hearing date will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson? Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. That hearing date has been set for June 18th for items 36 through 45. Now we're at 46.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the Code of Ordinances of said city by rezoning property at half-mile south of the intersection of 57th Street and South Dakota Highway 11 from the A1 Agricultural District to the C Commercial District.
This is about 3 acres of land that's within our extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction with Lincoln County. This is a proposal to expand Frankman Motors by approximately 3 acres to the east. This will be our first joint meeting with the Lincoln County Commission, and this will be held at the Lincoln County Courthouse in Canton.
Questions of Mike on item 46?
Yeah, Mike, in the future, are we going to alternate back and forth, Canton, Sioux Falls, Canton, Sioux Falls? I mean,
I'm not the one that would make that decision, but
because initially, I think the planning department made all these arrangements with Lincoln County, and we've been down to Canton a number of times, and
we'll discuss that with them.
good.
It's a good trip. Okay.
We can carpool.
Everybody sign up the sheet.
Yeah.
Okay, on item 46, is there further questions of Mike, or is there a motion to set the hearing date for June 25th at 7 o'clock for the joint City Lincoln County meeting? Motion?
So move, Benninger.
Benninger moves second.
Second, Costello.
Costello seconded. All in favor of that motion at the hearing date for item 46 for June 25th, vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson? Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. The hearing date has been set for June 25th for item 46. 47.
Deferred action, a resolution amending the 2007-2011 capital program, and the estimated cost is $3,600,000 and will require an increase in appropriations that will be funded by developer loan funds.
We would like to withdraw this item as it's no longer applicable.
It will be noted that item 47 has been withdrawn. Item 48.
A resolution amending the future land use map as a part of the Sioux Falls 2015 Growth Management Plan, petition number 2007-0421 at 57th Street and Powderhouse Road, from adding commercial and parks and open space to the future land use map.
This is approximately 50 acres of land that was recently annexed into the city limits. It is on the east side of Highway 11 and north of 57th Street. And the proposed development will include approximately 40 acres of commercial, 8 acres of recreation conservation for drainage purposes, and then a right-of-way for street improvements.
need to excuse myself.
Okay, note that Councilmember Jameson will be excused from item 48. Others that, questions of Mike on item 48. Others that wish to address the council item number 48. Council discussion or action? Is there a motion?
Move for approval, Benninga.
Benninga moved. Is there a second?
Second, Costello.
Costello seconded. Further comments? I see no further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve item 48 will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 2 excused. Item 48 has been approved. Item 49.
A resolution amending the future land use map as a part of the Sioux Falls 2015 Growth Management Plan Petition 2007-0325 at West 85th Street and Minnesota Avenue, adding an allocation of commercial, single-family residential, multifamily residential, office, institutional, and parks and open space future land uses.
This is approximately 80 acres of land that was recently annexed into the city limits. It is in the northeast corner of 85th Street and Minnesota Avenue. And the proposed land use plan includes single-family, multifamily, office, commercial, open space, and right-of-way.
Questions of Mike on item number 49. Others that wish to address the council on item 49? Is there a council discussion or a motion?
Move for approval, Jameson.
Jameson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion to approve will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson. Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 49 has been approved. Item 50.
I need to excuse myself.
Okay, noted. Councilmember Litz will be excused from item number 50.
Preliminary subdivision plan 2007-0407 Meadow Ridge addition to the city of Sioux Falls, Minnehaha County, South Dakota, West 5th Street and North La Mesa Drive to change street pattern and creating additional residential lots. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is approximately 12 acres of land that we consider as item 12 for the rezoning, item 26. And this is phase 2 of Meadow Ridge addition that will include approximately 68 single-family residential lots.
Questions of Mike on item number 50. Others who wish to address the council on item number 50. Council discussion or action? Is there a motion?
Move to approve, Costello.
Costello moved. Is there a second?
Second, Jameson.
Jameson seconded. Further comments? I see no further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve item 50, vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 50 has been approved. 6 yes, 2 excused. Item 51.
A resolution approving a joint cooperative agreement for mosquito control between the city of Sioux Falls and Minnehaha County, South Dakota.
As I alluded to earlier, we are making some minor changes in our cooperative agreement. This cooperative agreement has been in place for about 5 years. It is a perpetual agreement, but we're amending some of the responsibilities that the city will be adding and the county will be subtracting. The change, and there are some formatting and housekeeping wording changes that we did for clarity, but I won't go through all of those line items unless you want me to. What we're really doing, the really substantive change, is that we're outside the 2-mile perimeter where the county has had responsibility in surrounding the municipalities, the incorporated municipalities that are in Minnehaha County. They had been doing some spraying and larviciding outside of, in the half a mile around communities, but it had been difficult for them to maintain staffing levels because these are small volume sprays and larviciding. So we're switching that responsibility to be for the staff that we hire and that works out in the county. So as I identified, that $25,000 roughly that had been running that program has moved now from the county in the cooperative agreement and those responsibilities to the city. So we will be managing the staff and have been managing staff that work out in the county. We'll just add it to their responsibilities rather than weed control people doing it in a much less coordinated manner, and this was something that the county came to us and suggested.
Questions of Judy on item number 51.
So Judy, the city is going to be actually outside of our boundaries doing this.
By the cooperative agreement, we've been working 2 miles outside of our boundaries.
So in effect, we have been subsidizing some of the county.
No, we're not subsidizing it.
Because we're doing county territory.
But they're paying us to do it. We track all of that for these grants and have been doing that for these, not grants, for cooperative agreements since the first cooperative agreement was laid in place. We track that county, the equipment, the supplies, the chemicals are all PO'd to the county, actually, and that's tracked very carefully. All the vehicle use, all of the space use, those sort of things. Even our staff that do oversight, we track part of their time for that also. So that we're not, very much to the point that we're not subsidizing their use.
Further questions, Judy, on item 51. Others who wish to address the council on item number 51. Council discussion or action? Motion?
Move for approval, Jamison.
Jamison moved. Is there a second?
Second, Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of approval of item 51, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson. Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 51 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 52.
A resolution advising and giving consent to the appointment of members to the Multicultural Coliseum Intergovernmental Board. Mayor Munson and Council Member Kevin Kavanaugh from June 2007 until replaced.
Mr. Chairman, I need to excuse myself.
Okay, it'll be noted that
I can address this particular item. There is a joint cooperative agreement between the city, Minnehaha County, and the state for renovating the Sioux Falls Coliseum and providing space for the Multicultural Center. And that joint agreement calls for the creation of this board with Minnehaha County commission members, a designee, or the mayor, and a city commission member.
further questions? Not anyone else wish to address council item 52? Not council motion?
Move for approval, Jamison.
Jameson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Brown.
Brown seconds. All in favor of that motion? We'll vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 2 excused. Item 53.
A resolution approving the Great Plains Zoo and Delbridge Museum of Natural History Master Plan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Don Kearney with the Parks and Recreation Department. This resolution would approve the Great Plains Zoo and Delbridge Museum Master Plan. The master plan has gone through several steps over the past 6 months as Elizabeth and her staff, along with city staff, park board, city council members, have been involved in that planning process. One of those steps was to conduct a couple public meetings. Those were conducted. Another step was the presentation that Elizabeth and the consultants provided to the City Council at an informational briefing. And then most recently, this past month, Elizabeth has attended all 3 of our committee meetings of our Parks and Recreation Board. And this past month, the Parks and Recreation Board did recommend approval of the master plan to the City Council. Rather than going through the master plan, which you've already seen, have the document before you, Elizabeth would like to make ourselves available for questions regarding the proposed master plan.
Questions of Don or Elizabeth on item number 53? Others that wish to address the council on item number 53? Council discussion or action?
Mayor. Don, how does the CIP currently match with those proposals in the master plan?
Good question. The City Council, back in the 2006 CIP plan, identified about $1.6 million in capital improvements for the zoo. There were some initial things that were done, some immediate fix-ups that we felt needed to be done, and so part of the funds were used for that, along with the Asian cat exhibit, which we felt that would not be impacted by any future master plan or renovation of the zoo. So those two pieces of the $1.6 million was used and is currently in progress for the Asian cat building to get that in place. And basically what we've done is carried the balance, or about $1 million, forward in anticipation of this master plan being approved and made available for future development as per this master plan. And so we felt like we needed to get the master plan in place before moving forward with any additional funds. And then there is another project, I want to say it's in 2010, for the water wells project that's still in the capital improvement plan.
Very good, thank you.
Further questions? Others wish to address council on item 53? Not. Council discussion or action?
Move to approve. Brown.
Brown moves. Is there a second?
Second, Benninga.
Benninga seconded. Further comments? Not. All in favor of the motion to approve item 53 will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Lips.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 53 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused. For item 54, 55, and 66, I will turn the chair over to the chair, Jameson, here to John, come up here just did.
Want me to do it from there?
I think you have to go here. I think this is official.
Item 54.
A resolution of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving the placement of a commemorative plaque located on the east column of the Phillips to the Falls Archway.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I brought this resolution forward because I felt that there was a need for this council and perhaps the public to learn a little bit more about what happened, when, and why. But before I can vote on it, I need to ask a few questions, so if you'll bear with me. And I don't know who to direct these to, so I'll just ask, and maybe someone will be so kind as to come forward. In August of 2006, this council authorized the placement of 2 pieces of artwork by Victor Benjamin, or Benjamin Victor, to be placed on these gateway columns. What happens now to those 2 pieces?
Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services. We provide the staff liaison with the Visual Arts Commission, which has overseen that process, and those are in the process of being cast and will be placed on those archway panels.
There's room on those panels for those arches for that?
Yes. Yeah, there's 2 insets on either side of the columns that were designed for future artwork.
And you may not be able to answer this, but, who specifically authorized the placement of this plaque, and do you know when it was put up?
It was reviewed. I don't have all the dates in front of me. I didn't know I was going to be asked to testify on this, but I don't have all the dates. But as the Visual Arts Commission went through the process of soliciting requests for the panels, the determination was made that the plaque is not fit the definition of a memorial, a monument, or a statue. So it was not determined to be art and not determined to be within their jurisdiction. So there was in fact, there was discussions about where to place it, and at some point in time, and again, I don't have the exact recollection with me tonight, of putting it, rather than on one of those inserts, of putting it on the south end of the east column. And that plaque, as I understand it, was installed by the Parks Department, down still here, yeah, by the Parks Department staff.
And do you know when it was put up?
Was it about a year ago or so? Yeah.
All right. I copied a definition, and this is on the city's own website, the Visual Arts Commission page. It says visual arts, this is their definition, means a tangible creation by an artist exhibiting skill and aesthetic principles, including but not limited to paintings, sculptures, stained glass, engravings, statues, bas reliefs, carvings, frescoes, mobiles, murals, collages, mosaics, tapestries, photographs, drawings, monuments, and fountains. If this is not art, what did the Visual Arts Commission decide it was?
It was a plaque. It is a plaque.
Representing what?
Are you asking me to defend the Visual Arts Commission?
I'm asking why the Visual Arts Commission, and I realize you don't serve as liaison to that.
Yeah, we do.
To that commission.
Yeah.
You don't personally.
Okay.
I'm trying to determine why the process was not followed for placement of this, because the process clearly requires that commission recommend to us, and then we make the decision whether or not that piece of art is placed there.
Yeah. And again, there was a determination made, whether correctly or incorrectly, that was not under the jurisdiction of the Visual Arts Commission.
If I could continue, Mr. Chair. I have all of the minutes from the Visual Arts Commission going back as far as, well, the earliest I could find that even talked about this was March of 2005. And I find no place where they made a determination that there was, that this would not be considered art. What I did find is the following. This is an item that is consideration and action on Phillips to the Falls Archway. And there was discussion about the two panels, the artistic panels that were going to put on the arch columns. The archway's west column would have a 67 3/4 by 26 1/4 space available for an art panel by others. The archway's east column would have a similar space available for art by others. However, it would need to accommodate a mayor's plaque measuring 36 1/4 by 18 1/4 in size. In other words, the Visual Arts Commission was informed that there was going to be a panel there. They weren't reviewing anything. They were told just to work around another piece of art that was being put on that archway. That's my reading of it.
I don't have that information
Okay.
in front of me.
Well, I can't specifically find any documentation other than this that speaks to that particular piece of art. That's all I have for now.
Anything else? Vernon?
You know, I don't take issue with recognizing Mayor Munson, but there are 30 years of leaders on this project that deserve equal billing. Leaders that even include private citizens like Hazel O'Connor, who, by the way, does have a plaque down at Falls Park for her efforts to restore the area. Many mayors, commissioners, and councilors were involved in the restoration. A quick check of history can run us through some of those projects. Mayor Rick Noby's administration pushed for the River Greenway. That document became the blueprint for reclaiming the falls and the rest of the river. I'm told Phillips to the Falls was actually even mentioned in that 1975 document. During those years in the 70s, the city received the NSP building, which is today's Falls Overlook Cafe. The bridge was built over the falls. A junkyard on the east bank was cleaned up. The city's street department was moved off the west bank. Mayor Joe Cooper maintained and expanded the River Greenway plan during his time. Mayor Jack White's administration did much of the prep work for the amenities we enjoy at Falls Park today. Then Mayor Gary Hansen put the plan into action. The walkways, granite walls, observation points, lights, and reclaiming of the old horse barn all happened under his watch, not to mention the visitor center and the observation tower. Mayor Munson finished the work by connecting our downtown to the city's namesake, and he made the park a focal point for the community with celebrations like Winter Wonderland. In fact, the park now ranks among the top tourist attractions in the state. And of course, you can never talk about Falls Park without talking about the one person who maintained that through 3 forms of government, 5 administrations, and countless commissioners and councilors. That person is former city planner Steve Metley. In a relay race, we don't just honor the person that finishes at the finish line. We honor all of those who run a leg of the race. I have no problem with honoring Mayor Munson, but let's not forget the others, Mayors Noby, Cooper, White, and Hansen, who also carried that baton. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Pat.
I guess on whether or not it's art, I guess I'm not really convinced that it is art. While some plaques, I imagine, might be art, I don't think that this particular plaque really constitutes art. And I'm not really sure what part of this wording of that plaque necessarily honors Mayor Munson. I read the plaque as more of a greeting or a welcome of some sort to Falls Park. And while it does have his rough likeness on it, I guess I still consider it to be more of a welcoming or a greeting. And that's my comments. I do have a substitute motion.
Mr. Chairman, if I could respond, please, before the motion. I believe it is art, but if it was determined that it wasn't art, if it was not art, then it was placed there in violation of City Ordinance Chapter 3, Section 3-1, which prohibits posting on public property.
And I really don't know if the procedures were handled correctly or incorrectly. I suppose you could probably argue it both ways, but to put this issue to rest, I have this substitute motion, which this is simply, you want me to read it? A resolution of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving the placement of a commemorative plaque located on the east column of Phillips to the Falls Archway. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City of Sioux Falls that it approves the placement of a commemorative plaque as described by the following. Commemorative plaque located on the east column of Phillips to the Falls Archway.
Is there someone wishing? Go ahead.
Do we have a second, Mr. Chair?
Second, Benninger.
Say again.
You need a second. It's okay. Yeah.
Did you second the substitute motion or the original motions?
Second, substitute.
Okay.
Is there a motion on the floor?
There is no motion yet on the floor.
I think technically there was not a motion on
There
the
is no
floor
mo-
yet.
We're still in
before
council
the-
discussion.
You can just go ahead and use these as a motion.
And we have not taken any public input prior to this, so I would request that the motion be withdrawn. If
Okay,
that's-
withdraw the motion.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. When given recognition to a person, usually it's for values and accomplishments, usually at least some of both. And this project had some ethical problems with going way over budget and then some cover-ups and lies. And then there was an apology. And then after the apology for going over budget, this archway was put up. So they spent even more money over budget after the apology, which kind of slapped the apology in the face. And so I think for recognizing an individual, I mean, to have a plaque that says this is Phillips to the Falls and in the history of it with the wording is fine. But to recognize an individual when it wasn't totally ethical, and then to put the plaque on the thing that was put up after the apology and spent more money after the apology, it's like the worst place to put the plaque from an ethical point of view. So I got three reasons against having anybody's face on it. One is the location, two is that it wasn't all ethical, and three is that it was many more than one person. Like Vern said, there's lots of people involved, so thanks for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? I guess a question for someone. The plaques that are placed by the Historical Society come before this council for approval. Is this different from those plaques?
The Board of Preservation is the one that initiates those, and yes, those are specifically required to come for city council approval. If they're located within a park, then they also have to go through a park board recommendation.
And I think it says on public right-of-way.
Yes.
So,
But those specifically do come to the council as a historical marker.
okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if it serves anybody's interest, I have the wording of the plaque right here, and if Shauna wants to maybe put it up on the, people can read for themselves. But again, I really don't see where in the wording that this honors Mayor Munson. I read it as more of a greeting to the citizens or the visitors of Falls Park.
Mr. Chairman, if I could perhaps clarify, I'm not objecting to whose face is on the plaque. I'm not even objecting to the wording on the plaque. I'm objecting to the process that was not followed when this plaque was put up. Clearly, whatever we call it, art, historical marker, a billboard, I don't care. Somehow, someone needs to make the decision as to whether or not this was put up properly. We have ordinances that say you can't post things. I just don't understand. If I happen to think my grandson is the world's greatest t-ball player, does that allow me to put up a plaque in the park for him? I think not. That's what I am talking about. So please, let's not, and I do not condone anyone walking up to that podium and making remarks about people, personal remarks about people either. I'm not involved in that either.
Pat? Gail, can you offer anything as far as whether or not policy procedure was followed correctly or incorrectly?
Well, I think we're operating from some assumptions because there is a bit of a vacuum as far as what actually happened. I haven't heard anyone say they know for sure what the process was or wasn't, and how this all came to be. The one comment I would make, and maybe I'm being just a lawyer and words are extremely important, but I've heard used throughout this discussion and previously in the media that the question was, is this plaque a work of art? But if you actually read the ordinance that is relevant to this issue, this is what it says, and it's Ordinance Section 2-90. Excluding works of art or exhibits in or on the grounds of the Washington Pavilion, the Sioux Falls Zoo and Delbridge Museum of Natural History, the Horse Barn, and the Old Courthouse Museum. Okay, excluding works of art or exhibits on those places, and this is the critical part, no statue, monument, or memorial shall be placed in any city park, city property, or public right-of-way unless the placement has first been approved by the City Council after recommendation from the appropriate city board or commission, including the Visual Arts Commission. Now, Mike used the word statue, monument, or memorial when he was up there discussing, but we're not talking about whether it's a work of art or not. It's whether it's a statue, monument, or memorial. And then that's when, if it was decided by, I guess, the Visual Arts Commission, it was not one of those three things, then it did not have to come to the City Council. And I don't know if that really helps the discussion or not, but I think it's incorrect to say it was decided to not be a work of art, because that's not what the ordinance says. But I don't know what the facts are as to what happened, so it's really impossible for me to give a legal opinion on whether the appropriate procedure was followed or not. I think we needed, I guess, some investigation with the Visual Arts Commission members that were on board when this happened, since the minutes don't seem to give us the whole picture of what went on.
Kevin?
Well, I appreciate the interpretation. I guess that's the heart of the matter is nobody really knows what happened and what procedure was or was not followed. I'm disappointed that some representative from the Visual Arts Commission was not here tonight to talk about their process. But clearly, the heart of the matter is we really don't know what happened. And I doubt if anybody is going to want to defer this for an investigation. I just don't think we're going to get anywhere with it.
Right now, we have no motion on the floor. Is there a motion on the floor?
Well, to get this started, I will move for approval of the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded for this motion. Mr. Chairman, I would submit my substitute resolution at this time.
Now you're incorrect. Go ahead.
I apologize for the
no problem.
Out of order. I'll just submit it as previously read. So.
And the second still stands? It's been moved and seconded as a substitute motion. Any further discussion on the substitute motion? Kevin?
Well, the wording of this resolution is irrelevant to me. I want to talk about the process. But I wonder if the maker of this motion understands what you're actually trying to do here. You are stripping away any justification whatsoever for what you're asking the council to do.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I believe the resolution speaks for itself. It simply is asking the city council to approve of the plaque that exists right now. I don't know, and as I previously said, I don't really profess to know what the correct policy should be or what was actually taking place. This simply puts this issue to bed, that it authorizes that particular plaque.
Any further questions? Dee?
Just from a procedural standpoint, I'm not sure how I should do this, but I just, again, as I mentioned today at our informational, and seriously, I just hadn't thought about this until last week, and is that, again, in our foyer right here at Carnegie, because of me, we have definitely a piece of art hanging on the walls, and so I was wondering if that could be, if there was any way that could be incorporated into one of these motions or something, because that's been hanging there for a year. I purchased it as a gift for Carnegie. I can take it home. I can do whatever you want with it, but I just thought maybe this is a good time to take care of that too, if you wish, however you want to do it.
Kevin?
I don't think Councilor Knudsen needs to worry about it. The Visual Arts Commission doesn't concern itself with framed artwork that we hang on our office walls. It's irrelevant, Dean.
Any further discussion on the substitute motion? Vernon?
I would encourage you to think about the 30 years of history that go with this vote. Think about those who aren't recognized and who don't have their likeness in Falls Park and don't have a plaque. I don't have a problem with us recognizing Mayor Munson as long as we recognize the 30 years of leaders that put this plan together. I encourage you not to support this.
Question for the chair. Are we voting on an amendment or a substitute?
The substitute.
All right.
And a question before we vote on the substitute. Is, in the eyes of the Park Department, is that motion definitive enough to cover this plaque or future plaques that will be placed on that east column?
I'll answer that. This is in the right-of-way. It's not in the park.
Pardon?
This archway is within the street right-of-way. It's not within Falls Park.
And as a reference point, that this commemorative plaque located on the east column of Phillips Street Archway, as of today's date, in my knowledge, it's the only plaque on the east archway.
Okay. Any further comments or questions? Kevin?
Well, since we're voting on a substitute here, I better speak my piece now. I'm going to ask every one of you to think long and hard and do something very important tonight. I want you to put your emotions aside, your personal friendships, we all have them, and any fears that you have, and do what is right for the citizens of this community. I want you to uphold the importance of following our rules, and I want you to think very carefully about this, because if we don't, we're setting a course here for a process that is a dual process. One for average citizens and other process for people that are well connected. And I don't think we want to get involved in that. Clearly, this plaque was put up in violation of our established process, and it was without the public's prior knowledge. This council didn't even know when this plaque went up. I think shutting out the public from the process is something we all better be very concerned about. I think it's inexcusable. When we bypass the rules, the public is stripped of its opportunity to know what their government is doing. There's a reason why we have processes and procedures. It's to foster open government. And without a public review, the citizens also lost the opportunity to comment on a proposed public action before it happened. They didn't get that opportunity, folks. We're all quick to tell people that we're obviously in support of open government and transparency in our processes. But if we take this proposal and we just skate on it and ignore it, what does that say about us? If we just give nothing more than lip service to it, it doesn't mean much. Average citizens obey the laws, the well-connected ignore them. I don't think that's the type of message we want to send by passing this resolution. So, I'm going to ask you to vote no on this resolution, to honor our policies, to honor our procedures, and to restore open government to our citizens. You all know this council has tonight an obligation to do what's right for its citizens. I'm asking you to find the courage tonight to actually do it. I would respect your no vote on this.
Pat?
Well, I guess, Kevin, if I accepted every premise that you just stated, I would vote with you, but I really have a hard time accepting the premise that the laws were broken when I personally talked to our city attorney and our assistant city attorney have both represented that the laws and ordinances have not been broken. And, you know, so therefore I guess I'm relying on that. I don't think it's art. It doesn't come across to me as art. It comes across as a greeting. I will vote what in my conscience I think is correct, as I have always tried to do.
If I could respond, Mr. Chairman. We just heard from an assistant city attorney that said she does not know whether our laws were violated. And I never spoke about laws. I said our procedures. We don't know what happened.
I guess I have to ask for a clarification. Pat, were you speaking to another assistant city attorney
Yes, I
in
was.
the office?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, to you. And I talked to Gary as well.
I never represented to you that I knew that no laws were broken.
Well, I thought that was the ordinances.
Except for the drafting of the substitute motion that you made.
Okay, are you aware of any laws or ordinances that were broken?
No, because I don't know what the facts behind the Visual Arts Commission's dealings with the piece were. What we were talking about is when you asked me to draft the substitute motion and took out the whereas language. That does not break any law or ordinance.
I guess I was referring to what you had just read moments ago out of the code or whatever.
My legal opinion is, because I don't know the facts that comprise how this came to be, I can't give you a legal opinion as to whether the ordinance was violated or not. Section 2-90.
I stand corrected then.
Okay.
Okay, is there any further? Vernon?
It really boils down to a two-tiered question. Questions I used to use as a reporter sometimes. Is it legal? Maybe, maybe not. But the bigger question is it right? Is it right to put the likeness of one person up on this archway? Or is it right to honor all of those who contributed to this project? So ask yourself both questions. Is it legal? Our city attorney has told us we're not sure either way. But is it right?
Dee?
I'm probably too tired really to make very much sense or be very articulate, but Vernon, regarding your comment about the kind of the predecessors before this project was completed, I don't know, I may be mistaken on this, but it just seems to me when I have visited state buildings, school buildings, there's a plaque at the zoo that I saw a while back, but it seems to me that very typically, like almost always, that I can recall anyway, that when a building project is completed, it's like, I mean, the people that are, in office at that time, whose names are on the plaque. I mean, I just think of, for instance, like John Harris School. I use that as an example. I know it's not, it's a school property, not city property, but, obviously there are many there were many other people that were involved before, school board members that were not on the school board at that time, who, thinkers before that realized that Longfellow School, where my kids were going to school, was too crowded. That the southeastern part of town was growing like crazy, and we needed a new elementary school. So, there were clearly, other citizens, there were clearly, PTA people, there were clearly school board members, there were clearly superintendents, principals, that were involved in the process. But once John Harris School, for instance, was built, the plaque on it is, who was in office at that time. And so that I just want to say that's...
May I respond, Chair?
Go ahead.
You are right, Dee. In many instances, even in my own office, that exists for the board of directors who helped that project along. The difference here is that not all the names are included. The second big difference is those plaques that you're referring to don't have a likeness on them and don't have quotes from the leader. So those are the two major differences I see.
Are we ready to vote? No further discussion. We'll vote on the substitute motion for placement of the plaque. Please call the roll.
Costello?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
No.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz? Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
No.
And I should vote.
Litz?
No.
No. The motion fails. So we're back to the main motion. Any further discussion on the main motion? At least if I counted correctly, it's 4-4. We're back to the main motion.
I have a substitute motion.
Go ahead.
I make a motion that the plaque at Falls Park come down.
Second, Kavanaugh.
Substitute motion is that the plaque be removed. Seconded by Kavanaugh. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to hear from the maker of the motion.
Honestly, I just really am ready to move on this topic, and it reminds me, before I was on the city council, of the discussion on the mural for the Black Sheep Coffee House, and people 220 miles away have made comments to me about how ridiculous that we are spending any time on this topic, and it's just not worth it to me. I just want it to go away. I'm pretty tired, but I'm just pretty tired of the topic.
I'd like to respond to that if I could, Mr. Chairman. I don't think it's ridiculous or insignificant that we do what we can as a council to fulfill our responsibility to maintain open government for our citizens. They deserve no less than that, and I consider that pretty darn important.
Any further comments on the substitute motion? Please call the roll.
Costello?
No.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
No.
Staggers?
No.
Benega?
No.
Brown?
Yes.
Motion carried. 5 yeses, 3 noes. Number 55.
Mr. Chairman,
Sorry.
Point
I
of-
had 4 noes and 4 yeses.
So it failed. The motion failed.
Should I recall it?
It's a tie vote.
I had 5 and 3.
I don't believe it was.
There's only 8 of us because the mayor's not here to break the tie.
So that's it.
It was 4-4?
I don't know. I wasn't
Was it,
counting.
what was it, Jamie?
Should I recall it?
Yeah.
Costello?
No.
Can you go back and read the vote that we had?
What I have is Costello, no. Jameson, yes. Kavanaugh, yes. Knutson, yes. Litz, no. Staggers, no. Benega, no. Brown, yes.
4-4. The motion failed. Sorry about that. Can't count tonight, getting late. Number 55.
Mr. Chairman?
We have to vote on the original motion.
That was a substitute. We're still at the original.
That was Dee's substitute, so we need to vote on the original on the agenda.
I think if there's a substitute, that motion prevails, doesn't it?
But the substitute failed.
It was not an amendment, it was a substitute.
But it failed.
Oh, I see, because it failed, now we're back. I'm with you, I'm sorry. A little less than parliamentary procedure tonight.
Mr. Chair, could you repeat the main motion?
Say again?
Could you repeat the main motion so we all know exactly what it is?
Well, I think, Kevin, I don't have a copy of the main motion.
If I could, Mr. Chair, the main motion is to approve placement of the plaque.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
No.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
No.
Am I correct? The people that made the motion and seconded it voted against it? I just wanted to clarify that.
I think they did.
Okay, just clarify.
And it passed 5-3. Motion carried. Number 55.
A resolution amending the City of Sioux Falls engineering design standards.
Good evening. Chad Heavey, Office of Public Works, Engineering Division. This resolution amends the Engineering Design Standards, Chapter 8. Mark alluded to what the revision is. It is for the asphalt street section for our collector streets. Currently, it's 6 inches of asphalt over 6 inches of base. Our proposed revision is 5 inches of asphalt over 9 inches of base. IRAB recommends this change, as does engineering.
Questions of Chad?
Motion approved.
Moved by Costello. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Second by Litz to approve the new design standards. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Motion carried. Number 56.
Preliminary subdivision plan 2007-0408 Legacy Ridge addition to the City of Sioux Falls, Minnehaha County, South Dakota, north of West 22nd Street and west of South Ellis Road, to rezone and subdivide the subject property for Phase 1 of a single-family residential subdivision with 153 lots. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is the 60-acre parcel that the City Council previously considered under item 29 for the rezoning. This shows the proposed street layout, which has been recommended for approval by both the Planning Commission as well as city staff for the single-family development.
Questions of Mike?
Mike?
Yes.
Why do they want to approve the preliminary and then they're going to come back with the final afterwards? What is the reasoning behind that? Do we always do it this way?
Yes, we always do the preliminary first.
Further questions? Council action?
Move for approval, Benega.
Second, Litz.
Moved by Knutson, seconded by Litz. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Please call the roll.
Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Aye.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benega.
Aye.
Brown.
Yes.
Motion carried. That's the last item on the agenda. Would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
Okay, yeah, what did I screw up?
I don't know if you talked to somebody else in the office about whether to...
Go to the dentist.
Yeah.
No.
See procedures, I don't know if I said ordinance. But then what were you reading?
I was reading an ordinance that says if it's a statute, memorial, or monument,
And
it
isn't
has to
our
be
ordinances
approved.
are laws that say this?
And I didn't think there was. And we just discussed your substitute motion.
Yeah, but I was referring, when I was saying those, referring to the ordinance that you